with you at the pool party?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. We were there as soon as you could go in, and they threw us out.
It was really fun.
I really quite enjoy it because there's really not all that many people that
I told my girls, I'm like, soak this in because you will never have it this much to yourself ever. So,
well, until next year.
yeah, that's true, right? Just like getting like the slide, they would just get up and go, and get up and go, and get up and go, and I'm like, just enjoy it.
Yeah, the big one I went up there. Nobody had even gone down it yet that day. I mean, in our case.
I know. When I eventually got up there, I was like, "You're open, right? Like we can do this, dude."
Yeah.
That was really good.
Okay, I need to wear my shirt on that one. It kind of hurts my
The
back.
back, right? It's like tick, 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 tick. I know. I was like, "Oh, a little rough."
Yeah, I get off with one of my kids. Dad, your back's wrong. It's not sunburn.
Yeah, this isn't a
Just went
son.
down the slide.
This isn't a son situation.
But yeah, the grandkids make it just a real kick.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
I mean, so 2 of my 3 kids were there with their kids.
Oh my gosh. I was gonna ask how many of your kids are kind of around here.
2, one in Saratoga Springs and one in Mapleton.
Oh,
And they
nice.
were
Man.
Jake,
I didn't really good to see it.
do I know him?
I know, it feels like it's been a minute.
We thought the guy we didn't. We thought we'd take the
Surviving.
guy we didn't know and make him sit on that.
Yeah, geez, I'm like, I'm just gonna set up camp over here and follow along.
Feet up a little bit.
Yep.
Right.
Well, Jake's here. We're legit.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
I'm feeling it. There was something that I was like, oh man, I don't know what I think about this item. And then I was like, oh crap. You know? There was kind of comfort knowing I'm like, there's a lot of people thinking about this and it's, oh well.
How's your summer? Yeah, good.
Ahead and get this started this evening. Thank you, everybody, for being here today, and those that are watching online. We welcome you here to our City Council here on Monday, July 15th, 2024. And we do have a quorum of council members tonight. We are excusing Council Member Stewart and Jacobs, who are out of town. So we're going to have a busy night tonight, but you guys, we're in good hands to make the votes and the decisions we need. I will be presiding. My name is Mayor Carolyn Lundberg, and would like to thank the staff and those that have prepared everything for tonight that is going to be on our agenda. We will first begin with an invocation provided by Councilmember Jake Hoyt, and then we will have our Pledge of Allegiance led by Officer Cody Sampson from our own PD. We're very excited to have him do that. Okay, we'll go to that point.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful to gather together today as concerned citizens for the wonderful city of Lindon. We're thankful for the opportunity we have to live and raise our families here, to recreate here. We're so thankful for the blessing that it is to live at the foot of Mount Timpanogos, and for the wonderful people that call this place home. We're especially grateful at this time for our first responders, for the incredible amount of effort that they put into making this a safe place for us to live. We're thankful for thee, and we ask thy spirit will be here at this meeting, that all will be according to thy will, that we'll be able to be led and guided to the decisions that you would have us make. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we appreciate that very much. All right, we will now begin with item number 1 on our agenda. And there are papers at the door here that you can pick up to follow along what we're covering this evening. So we'll first have our roll call, and I'll start here on my left, please.
Van Broderick present.
Cole Hooley present.
Carolyn Lundberg present.
Jake Hoyt present.
Okay, fantastic. We will now go to some presentations. We are really excited to recognize some very incredible awards here for our employees who are very well deserved. So I'll turn this over to our city administrator to go ahead and introduce them.
Thanks, Mayor. Jessica, can you come up here for a second? This is Jessica Nelson. She's our court clerk and soon to be, after tonight, one of our deputy city recorders. She's going to be sworn in here tonight. So Jessica was one that was recognized and honored by being nominated by a fellow employee for the Employee Recognition Award. Let me read what was submitted here. Jessica is always looking for ways to improve the court. She is constantly reforming court paperwork for better accessibility to those Spanish-speaking defendants. Jessica has a great attention to detail and is always ready to help in any area she can. She has been great at learning new job duties as a deputy recorder and is eager to continue learning new tasks. I have no doubt she will continue to excel in her new position of clerk/deputy recorder. She's a joy to work with and is always upbeat and happy. The city is lucky to have her. So I'm going to give you a copy of that and your $50 gift card that you asked for, and a round of applause.
All right, Jessica, if you could stay up here for just a quick minute, and then we'll just sit there, and then I'd love to get a picture that we could get some.
Jake, can you come on up? Your crowd is dwindling here. They had a call, I guess, huh? Yeah, that is the life you live. So let me read this that was submitted by a coworker about Jake. Corporal Simmons is responsible for the annual Memorial Day program. This event has grown and improved each year due to his dedication and respect for what the program represents. Citizens continually provide positive feedback, which is a credit to Simmons' ability in coordinating the event. Beyond highlighting the Memorial Day program, Simmons is competent in his primary responsibilities. We're glad about that. And Lindon is in good hands when Simmons is working. His common sense and personality have a calming effect on all those he comes in contact with. Lindon City is fortunate to have him. So congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
And thank you. We had so many people say what a wonderful Memorial Day program we had. Stay up there, stay up there, stay up there. Hang on. And we get a picture of you too with the council. We like to do here. Yes, come on over, Jessica. Usually have you guys here and the council behind you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you take a look?
Where'd you get your gift cards?
All right. Oh. Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Bill, that was really good. Thank you.
And the doves that he had at the memorial program, what an amazing touch. He always adds something new. Love it. Okay. We will now have the swearing in of Jessica Nelson and Whitney Hatfield as our new deputy recorders. We're very excited to have these women have a new role in the community. So we'll have to go with that next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speech.
Speech.
Now I will say something. Our prior city recorder, Kathy Mosman, did a great job. And when Brittany became the recorder, she said, I think I can pull off both things. And she is currently our full-time justice court clerk and has taken on the city recorder job and hit the ground running. She's done awesome. she needs a little bit more help, and we're grateful for Whitney and Jessica for picking up those pieces and swearing them in. It's going to enable them to fill in some roles here. Brittany's been training them on minutes and several of the other duties that she has, so that there can be a backup, which is awesome because we haven't had that in the past. So kudos to all three of these ladies and the efforts and work that they're accomplishing in our justice court clerk, or in our justice court, and then also as clerk duties. So is that good?
Yeah.
All right.
Well said, well said.
All right, do you guys want to do it separately, or do you want to do it together?
All right, let's have you both come up.
Okay, so come this way, and you come back that way.
Don't see that.
All right, so you guys are gonna put your right hand up, and then just repeat after me, okay? And then fill in your name and your name. So, I,
Jessica Nelson,
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
She wants a picture.
Is there a height requirement to the, everybody has to be the same height?
Your sisters. Wow, triplets. Wonderful. Welcome aboard to your new role, and we are excited to have your help and service. You guys are amazing. All right, any particular announcements from council members other than outside of your reports? All right, very good. We'll move on to our open session for public comment on item number 3. This is where we invite anyone here publicly to address the mayor and council for something that is not on the agenda this evening. All right, seeing no one moving forward, we will move on to our item number 4, which is our council reports. All right, so you feel ready to start?
I have
Okay.
nothing for tonight.
All right.
For the Historical Commission, just for everyone, the month of July, the scavenger hunt on the app is going on, and there's an opportunity to accrue points and get prizes. So I would say that covers Centennial and the Historical Commission together. Those are probably the two more pressing things.
Wonderful. And Councilman
Just a
Hoyt?
quick shout out to our PD. I think all of you were copied on an email of the life-saving incident that occurred. Appreciate Sergeant Sanchez, the chief as well, and recognizing Officer Johnston and his heroic efforts, which is great. I'd love to see. I love that our social media caught that as well. And anyways, appreciate our PD and all that they're doing, and specifically Officer Johnston and his efforts.
Fantastic, thank you. Just wanted to make a note, Gerald Hatch, who served on the city council for 20 years, passed away last week. Just made a lot of contributions and shaped many things in our community, and so just wanted to send our condolences to his family and also just acknowledge the tremendous service that he was in our community. And then also, I was able to connect with our centenarian. We have a gentleman named Bill Harris who was born here and currently lives at Spring Gardens Assisted Living. He is 100 years old, and he's going to be in our parade. And we also have all of the grand marshals, our former living mayors and their wives have graciously accepted to be our grand marshals as a group this year, so we're really excited about that. And just a quick note to council, there will be a schedule of events coming shortly from Heath and our liaison over that. So I did hear from Shawnee Rasmussen regarding the grand entry at the rodeo grounds, 6:30. So we'll be in side-by-sides for that. And then just for the community to make a note, the parade route has to be different this year due to the construction going on Center Street. So one of the things that's being added this year is the fair. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
I don't actually have anything on that.
Okay, all right. I was wondering,
Do you want it?
I was like,
well, that's okay. We can, Heath, oh my goodness, Heath, tell us some of the new things that you're doing with Lindon Days. We'd love to have a quick report.
yeah. I know Lincoln had sent out something
Yeah.
with all of our tasks, but
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The fair, we brought back the old time fair for the first Saturday. So the first Saturday from 11 to 8, we'll have old time games and some entertainment in the city center park. It'll be pretty casual. We want people to come and stay. There will be a boutique down there for most of the day, and then concerts throughout the day, music, and so it'll be a fun day. You mentioned the route change on the parade, and that'll all be published. The magazine went to print today. We think it'll be out in the homes by Thursday, so everybody will be able to see all that information in there. And let's see, is there anything else that's new? Yes, Jake?
On the parade, did I see an email that went out that we'll each have our own car and we are bringing a +1? Is that correct?
Correct. The Model T Club, is that right?
Yes.
Model T Club
Club is coming.
is just more than willing to help us with that.
So they'll drive us. We'll be in the back seat with a +1.
I imagine so, yeah. That's what I'm planning.
Okay.
Right.
So the parade route will come off of Canal Drive and then down 400 north. It'll turn at 200 and then go down by Friar Park and terminate at that end, down by Friar Park. So
And
the
are you
roads are
having the
supposed to be.
floats, some people finish in that Stake Center parking lot and the Friar Park parking lot, or one or both?
Yeah, we're setting up for floats to unload in that parking lot and then come out of the parking lot to travel down.
The Stake Center parking lot.
The Stake Center parking lot. And then, don't forget that we were able to get the Oscar Mayer Wiener Mobile to come to our parade. And due to Alan's efforts, and the first thing they said is, well, you're having a hot dog party after, right? And we said, of course we are. So we're gonna be serving hot dogs at Friar Park after the parade. For anybody so interested or want to see that famous car up close.
that's great.
No other surprises this year except the regular things besides that. Any questions about Lindon Days? It's coming up here in a couple of weeks.
It's coming up fast.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
I'll be
All
back.
right. We'll have you back in a moment. All right, item number 5, we'll have our administrator's report now, given by Mr. Cowie.
Just a few items that are there in your packet. Just a reminder, our next meeting is August 19th, so we only have the one meeting in July, one in August, so August 19th. And then the 2 in September, we are on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays. So in our original calendar, we had September 16th, but that fell on the night of the drill. And so we'll be moving it to September 17th, so just make sure you got that on your calendar. And then the mayor, we've got you down for the newsletter for August, so you need to get that to Brittany the last week in July. And then just coming up is the Utah League of Cities and Towns Annual Convention in Salt Lake City. If anybody's interested in that, September 4th and 5th. It's a Wednesday and Thursday. Let me know. I can get you registered. The citywide drill, as I mentioned, on September 16th. We were approached the other day by the city of Orem. They have a grant writer that is coordinating with the city of Provo and Vineyard and UTA, and they are looking at installing some EV, electric vehicle chargers, around various areas of the county. It's a federal grant, and you have to apply for a pretty big number. And so they asked if we wanted to participate. Interestingly, Lincoln on the council is a newer Tesla owner and was asking about this to me recently, if the city had ever looked at it. We have looked at it in the past, and getting power to the site had been kind of the limiting factor. It's quite expensive to bring power in. We do have a transformer in the city aquatic center parking lot just outside here in this island. And so we had looked at possibly just designating 1 or 2 spots here as electric vehicle charging spots. On this grant, it is a 20% match that would be required by the city. Depending on the chargers themselves, they're upwards of 80 to 100,000 a piece. And so we're looking a couple $100,000, and then if we have to bring any power additionally to the site or change anything there. So we're thinking 200 to 250 for a couple of those. So our match could be in the $50,000 range. Is that anything you're interested in?
How does it work? The chargers are there and anyone can go and use that? Do they
Yeah.
pay for that service?
So they would pay for that, and Orem in the past, they have a couple. They have, originally the first year or two that they had them, they indicated they offered it at no cost, and they've changed that to a pay model where they get a percentage of that. So our intent would be that we would charge for this and try to recoup our costs. And what we charge, I have no idea. And so, but that was the thought, is that these would be a pay EV charger. It would be a supercharger, so it goes very fast. And then, yeah, any thoughts on that?
Can you define super fast in that scenario for charging?
So it was interesting. Lincoln took me for a ride here a month ago, and we went to a few charging stations. There are slow chargers that it's like plugging in at your house, and it would take 6 or 8 hours to fully charge a battery. On a supercharger, most of the Tesla locations are superchargers. You can charge an entire vehicle battery in minutes, like 20 minutes. It's very fast.
For what I
So,
understand, the older Teslas aren't necessarily compatible with that, but the newer ones
I
are.
don't know that. So this would be one that's a universal. It wouldn't be Tesla only, and some of their stations or plugs are proprietary. And so, but this would be, there's
Those-
actually on state contract, we can get a better price on some of these than if like a car dealer were to buy it or something of that nature. So there's currently 1 charger in Lindon at the Lexus dealership. And that is it, that we can find on maps.
Are there any other grants that can be stacked with this grant?
We've looked in the past. Rocky Mountain Power has a grant, and it's the same dollar amount. It's a 20% match. And then the state, I'm going to say the wrong division, one of the state divisions of energy or transportation, one of those two, had a similar grant program. And so we've asked and encouraged the Orem grant writer to look at those and see if they can stack that. But all 3 of them have a 20% match, and so I'm not sure if one is better than the other, or if you can stack those, so they'll find out.
You say there's a transformer there on that spot where your cursor is. Do you have any idea what that other portion would be to provide the electrical power for it?
As far as how much?
Yeah.
I don't. We've had MDW look at it, our electrical contractor that we use for a lot of city projects, and they didn't know off the top of their head. And so that was a big question, is how much would this really cost us? And so, but he felt like that was a good starting point, and it's not like out in another location where we've got to put in conduit and run a long distance, and so.
I guess it doesn't really speak to me. Like, I don't know who, if it's people locally in the community, I don't know what the benefit is if they're charging at home and driving.
Are there
That's-
employees that would benefit from it?
I don't know of any employees currently. There could be that have a home vehicle. There's one individual downstairs in our attorney's office that we lease that has asked a few times, and he drives an electric vehicle here. We've had occasionally people that come for meetings that have asked if
Oh,
we
yeah.
had charging stations where they've come from Salt Lake or something of that nature. And so that's happened a few times. And then with this federal grant, they're actually looking at anything within 5 miles of the freeway corridor so that people could pull off and say, hey, there's a supercharger, and they can plan their longer route trips based off of that. And so that was one of the criteria. You have to be within 5 miles of I-15.
Oh.
And so
Just 40 to 50K,
The match is
Potentially.
25
Match
or
is, match is
75?
20%, and
That-
so.
that-
20% of the 200,000.
Depending on how much it costs, if you're 250,000, that's a $50,000 match. And so
That they're paying or that we have to pay
we
out?
would pay the 20%. So the 50,000 is what we would get reimbursed, is what I understand on that.
We would get
We
reimbursed
pay for
50.
the whole thing and then get reimbursed
That's how
for their.
grants
Correct.
always
That's,
work.
that's how most
Right.
grants work.
So I'm with Cole a little bit, trying to understand the intended user, and that's helpful. You see a lot of hospitality that'll put them in just because it's a draw, and I like that it's by the pool. I could see some people saying, hey, I'm gonna park here and go to the pool, but if it's a supercharger, 20 minutes, I don't know that that's a huge draw to our pool. So I'm probably right where Cole's at, maybe a little bit hesitant. I'd love to keep our eye on it, and I do think that's the way things are trending, but I don't know that I'm ready to shell out a lot of money quite yet.
Do you have any idea what they charge normally for somebody in an EV
I
station?
don't offhand, no.
So it sounds like the council might appreciate
Oh,
hearing
more
about
A
that.
little more information.
Yeah, if it could become a profitable little,
Yeah.
Or slowly pay back.
yeah, not
I'm
necessarily
open,
profitable.
I'm open to it. You know, I have kids and a few neighbors that are, I don't know, it's interesting, the whole EV, electric vehicle thing. Sometimes it seems like things are headed that direction, and other times they haven't been selling as well as they projected. They're
Right.
not, the adoption is not as ubiquitous as I think the industry hoped or thought it would be. Yeah, so I'm kind of with the council, like, it's not like a high priority that's screaming at us, but if we could utilize grant dollars as best as possible and see if makes sense, I think we're all open to
We'll
it.
gather some more info and
We
bring it
gather
up.
more
Yeah.
information, but probably you
Yeah.
got three a little bit reluctant right now.
Okay, that's helpful.
And then
And I
obviously
think with
one
this
that would be very
conversation-
enthusiastic.
Yeah, Lincoln will take you for a ride after this conversation, because
Oh.
he's strongly interested in
I've
it,
been
so-
for a ride.
Have you? All right. So just a heads up on that. Thank you. Just another quick FYI, you may get some questions about this. We've been approached by the city of Pleasant Grove, their engineers. On the very north end of our city, we have a future master plan roadway. It's 1,000 south in Pleasant Grove. That our border is kind of this pink line. That's our city boundary, and the orange or yellow is the city boundary with Pleasant Grove. That future roadway would be fully within Pleasant Grove, but we do have a shared agreements with the city that we provide water and sewer service to some of their parcels on this area here because of just the way the drainage goes. There's a landowner, I believe right here on this parcel, that they are looking to create a flag lot and subdivide, and they also own this long, narrow strip, which is future road right-of-way. Pleasant Grove is interested in purchasing that, and talking with the mayor, we have some interest to see that obtained so that we can loop a water and sewer line through this area. The city currently owns, all of this is currently developed, and then this parcel here, right there, has been dedicated. So this would complete some needed right-of-way for that roadway. So just an FYI, that isn't something that we had anticipated, but they just approached us here in the last week or two of whether or not we would participate in that. And we have some sewer and water funds that would be able to help pay for a small portion of that. So FYI, if I hear any more, I'll let you know. And so they were going to get back to us.
Are they looking for us to help participate in purchasing?
Yes.
Yes. So we've thrown out a small amount and 25,000 on that, and as what we would consider a fair amount for us to participate in securing a sewer and water line easement through that area. And so,
And with the intent that would serve the PG residents?
it's twofold. it would serve the PG residents. But what we also have here is on the end of this roadway is a dead-end line.
Yeah, we want to open a loop
And then
for
the
our
end of
water
this is a
circulation.
dead-end line. And so on our utility master plan, it is designed to actually connect so that that water is constantly flowing and moving through the system and not forced to the end of a dead-end line. It'll become stale, is the term our public works guys use. And so this is beneficial for Lindon residents in our water system.
Seems like there was an individual who was worried about this road. This is that same area,
It
right?
is,
Yes.
yeah, several of the neighbors there. And so we're not looking to build the roadway, but this is an opportunity. I think this individual kind of gave PG the impression that they have to get a storm drain line out along that route. But then they said, hey, after we sell it, we're going to approach all these owners and try to divvy this up and sell the back of it to multiple different parties. And while it's under one ownership, that made sense to potentially grab that if it's available.
So it's the underground infrastructure we're trying to secure at this point.
Yeah, makes sense.
Just an FYI, we haven't purchased anything. We've just told PG that we're interested in participating if they can make that deal, and we would reimburse them, so we wouldn't be the party purchasing. So, and then also, I just wanted to give you a heads up. There's among other things in the news, this long-term power outage that's been occurring in Texas. We've had a few questions from some of our staff, and we started talking about, what are our capabilities as a city. I want you to be aware, as a city council, if we were to experience a long-term power outage, so there's some critical infrastructure, water being the primary issue. Obviously, if people are without power, our wells are without power. So we've put in the budget the last few years some generators in there that the council's approved. And so we looked at, okay, how long could we run some of these generators for our pumps and one or two of our smaller wells. We don't have generators for all of our wells. This one down here in the lower park area would be gigantic, massive generator, and in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and maybe never used. And so in some of our smaller wells, and then for our pumps to lift it up to the tank on the east end of town, we've got generators. Well, then obviously those are limited by fuel. All of those generators on a full tank would run close to 24 hours and they're empty. So then it got us thinking of, well, how much fuel storage do we have here? It's pretty limited when you start calculating all of our pumps, all of our sewer lift station generators, all of our culinary generators, generators for our public safety building, for this building, for public works, fuel for our public safety vehicles, for our public works vehicles. It's in the thousands of gallons that we would need. So we've set a goal to work on having a 3-day supply of fuel. That equates to potentially a 3-day supply of water. That sounds extremely limited in a crisis. We've never experienced that power outage that I know of in Lindon that's been more than 3 days. But just as an FYI, I want you to be well informed. We do not have long-term sustainability capabilities as a city for water. And so that's concerning. But I don't know of any other city that would either. And so just a FYI, we'll be plugging some numbers into the budget amendment in October. And so again, we felt like a 3-day supply was feasible. We could probably pull off that 3-day supply of fuel with a 10,000-gallon tank or a couple larger tanks that we could put in the city for our use. So just an FYI.
You have to recycle that as well, cycle through the usage. of-
Yeah, we would have to have a schedule where we use that. We couldn't just let it go stale. And so on our current generators that are at all of our different locations, we contract with a company that comes out and tests those, and then they're all set to test, and they actually turn on once a month and run for a period of time, and then they'll come and top off the fuel periodically. So they're checking that to make sure they're full. But again, on most of those generators, it's only about a 24-hour period that they would stay without having to refuel them. So just an FYI, that's a big issue, so.
It is. Preparedness is important. So I think we all support that
All
very
right.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's
Is that
I have.
all?
Yes.
All right, we'll now move to item number 6. This is the approval of the minutes from our last council meeting on June 17th. If the council's had a moment to review any revisions or additions.
I have no changes.
All right.
Me
I-
neither. I'd
I-
move to approve the city council minutes from June 17th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous. All right, on item number 7, we just have a quick item here on our consent agenda. This is a bit of housekeeping, does not require any particular public comment regarding some surplus equipment. And we'll have Mr. Cowie explain what this is.
Yeah, this is just out of our large well that we were just talking about down near the lower park here. We had some old casing that was pulled out when that was refurbished, so we would just want to list that and dispose of those, so. That's it.
I think that's great. I'll move to approve the consent agenda item as presented.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. Thank you. And now we'll go on to item number 8. We're going to be reviewing privacy compliance plan and policy adoption. So we'll have this presented by Heath. Do you have anyone joining you in the presentation?
No.
Okay, very good.
Council, as many of you know, and as is recorded according to your packet, House Bill 257 passed and was signed by the governor early this winter, and it was sponsored by Kerr Birkeland, and the Senate sponsor was Daniel McKay. And it's been referred to as the bathroom bill or the restroom bill, but the bill's name is Sex-Based Designations for Privacy, Anti-Bullying, and Women's Opportunities. And before we go over this form, I had Brian kind of help me with this, and Adam found a really good example that we could use for this. But just so we understand what this bill was for, it establishes distinctions based on sex that applies standard in certain facilities and opportunities where designation on the bias of sex, privacy, and bullying and for women's opportunities. And so it defines the legal distinctions of basis on sex for private or government-owned facilities and schools. And it requires the government entities to report allegations of criminal offenses, and B, adopt a privacy compliance plan, C, provide a single occupant facility in all new construction, and D, consider the feasibility of a certain retrofit or remodel of old properties. It requires the state auditor to investigate any kind of complaint. So we're going to be required to report if any of these things are broken. So, and the Attorney General will impose fines for noncompliance. It went into effect March 1st, I think, May 1st. So what we've done here is we've made our privacy compliance plan, and Brian's reviewed this. It shows what our city staff response will be if those rules are broken, and our reporting is mandatory to the police department to let them know if someone goes into one of our restrooms, not the single use, the family restroom, but into a sex-designated restroom that is not their assigned sex at birth, and there's a complaint, then we're required to let the police know to have an investigation. Let's see, part B of this is we also had to have a facility plan to decide whether or not we could upgrade and what we could do, and Alex went through all of our buildings and made comment on, and we do have, of course, 2 unisex bathrooms in the pool and 2 in the community center, although they're mostly in the senior center area upstairs. But throughout the other buildings, Alex made comments here about whether it was doable to upgrade, or we would just wait for future construction projects to add more single-use restrooms. Are there any questions about that?
Looked like we were in pretty good shape, maybe minus this building.
Yeah, and that's the way Alex and I were looking at it too. Some of the new, and it's called out very heavily, like for recreation centers especially, where there's a dressing room or restrooms, or they're combined. And I think we're ahead of this in new construction anyway. Most of those recreation centers have, the common change area and then unisex bathrooms or changing areas. And so we're compliant. We just need to be vigilant and make sure that we're following our own rules.
Great, sensitive issue. Appreciate your keeping us in line with the state as they.
Brian, do you
pass.
have any comments, or Adam? We talked about this at length, so this we would like to put this into, make this resolution part of our city.
Then we submit this to the state, so this is
All
checking
right,
a
good.
box.
Okay, I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-22-R, adopting the Privacy Compliance Plan and Policy as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. It does carry. Thank you, staff, for getting on top of these new state legislative things so quickly and getting us in compliance. Appreciate that. All right, item number 9, this is a public hearing.
I make a motion to open a public hearing.
Thank you very much. Motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt to open a public hearing in regards to Resolution 2024-23-R. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in a public hearing, and welcome Chase here from our City Finance Department.
Thank you. I'm just here to present proposed changes to the fee schedule. I think there's like 7 total. So I'll just jump in if that's okay.
Great.
First, kind of changes to our North Point Solid Waste Transfer Station punch pass. We're adding the words resident only and 2 punches per pass. And then in the kind of first bullet point of that, it says first pass. Currently reads as residents only. We're essentially taking that residents only out and moving it up kind of into the title, as you can see in the slide there. Or I guess you guys have TVs now.
So we're not looking this way anymore.
Sorry about that. So you can see
Yeah.
on that slide. The next change is that same fee. And instead of being $22, we're changing the verbiage to be actual cost, which is, right now I think it's $24. Essentially, the only difference is the price goes up basically every year. So instead of changing that every year, we'll kind of just keep it at whatever the actual cost is to the city. So, and then also adding, each punch is good for up to 500 pounds of residential mixed waste. Loads must be covered and secured. So just in case folks are curious on how much they can dump. And then second, the kind of the second fee that we're actually changing, this is your property tax rate. We finally got the certified rates I shouldn't say finally, we got the certified rates from the county. And so that will be 0.0821% of your property value. And then on that same slide, I think you'll see there's a deletion. There's a miscellaneous charge for a credit card payment and service fee. We used to have a $2 kind of flat fee. I think we've modified that to be a 3% fee because the credit card companies charge us 3%, so we're just kind of passing along the fee to our customers as well. So
Back to the certified tax rate, is
yes,
that
sir.
pretty close to what we were using in our budget calculations?
I believe so, yes. In fact, I think it's yes, I believe that's pretty close to what we were leaving. I could get you an exact number.
It just didn't cause you any concerns?
No, sir.
Because it went down just a little bit.
It's down a tiny bit, yes, sir.
Want to talk on the land use ones there?
Yes, sorry. And finally, land use, there's two changes here.
Sorry, business licenses, not land
Oh,
use.
sorry. Yes, business licenses. We're adding the words per bed to the assisted living charge there of $34, so it's clearer exactly what we're charging, $34 per bed. And finally, we're adding some wording there about prorated fees for business licenses. Essentially prorating them by the month. So my understanding is these are based on kind of a calendar year. So if you're buying a business license in July, prorating it for beginning in July. So whatever 6/12 of the year instead of 12/12 of the year, if that makes sense. So.
That's only the disproportionate fee, so that's those 6 or 7 businesses like a supermarket or a convenience store, or one of the other 7, I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but so the base fee, the administration fee stays the same. It's just that disproportionate fee that is prorated.
Yes, sorry, I
All right.
misspoke.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. And that's all the changes that we have.
All right, council, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go ahead and adopt these.
See if there's any
And a
comment.
public comment in regards to this. All right,
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
all right. So moved by Councilmember Broderick. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Hooley. All in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Okay, back to you, council, then. Any further discussion?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-23-R as presented.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Broderick.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have that amendment on that resolution taken care of. All right. All right, we're on item number 10.
Make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Very much. Motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt to open a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in a public hearing to discuss the general plan amendment at 1300 West and 700 North, and this will be presented by our Community Development Director, Mike Florence.
All right, thank you, Mayor and council members. So this evening, there's 3 agenda items. I'm going to present all of them at the same time, and then you'll need to make your appropriate motions for each separate agenda item as we go through this. But, so we're going to be talking about general plan amendment, a zone change and development agreement. Jason Brown has made an application to rezone the property that's highlighted in blue and rezoning a portion of it. It would be the back portion, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So this area currently, the general plan calls it out as, in this brown area down here, is commercial gateway. And so that is, kind of our specific node that is focused on, everything good we want to see down there, a little more walkable and stuff like that. And the 700 North Master Plan shows this as kind of a TOD/core area on that north side here. 700 North has different goals that we've looked at when we adopted this. The one that's probably most applicable, or the 2, is enhance 700 North to create a gateway into Lindon City and support economic development. Those are our 2 that most apply, because the town center area is on the south side of 700 North, and then we're not considering things with BRT right now, except for we do want to see this site more walkable, and that's kind of pedestrian friendly, and that's something we've included in the development agreement. So the proposal to change the general plan and the zoning map would look like the map above. The reason for the kind of flag lot shape is the mixed commercial zone. That's what's being proposed. Requires 100 feet of frontage along a street. And so that would be your frontage there in the red, and then would go back to the mixed commercial zone here. This is the site plan, and Mr. Brown, when he comes up, he can talk a lot more in detail about his vision for this, but here's the site plan for the site. This would be for an indoor sports facility that would be for training and tournament purposes. These have become really, regionally, these get a lot of people for tournaments and things. And so what's being proposed right now is the building in the back with 2 retail, and then the retail is not part of this plan. It's just to show you, how he's envisioning the site. The purpose for the mixed commercial zone is that the proposal is that 50% of the building now would be used for sports and 50% would be used for a warehouse use. And as the sports facility use becomes more prominent, they would move into more of the facility and decrease the warehouse space. The Lindon Village zone does not allow for warehouse space, so that was the purpose of this zone change. You can see, so now it would start with the 4 courts. There would be some space up front, and Mr. Brown can explain that as well with the office space and things like that. Here's your renderings of the building. So it's about an 88,000 square foot building, or just over 88,000. A couple things that the commission really liked from this design is the roof lines and how they vary. They like the kind of entry feature. The windows along the facade are about 57%. So if you look at your commercial design standards, they typically require 60% of a rock, brick, or decorative block or stone. This would be an architectural metal panel. You can see 2 different patterns down there at the bottom of your screen. And so that's something you would kind of have a trade-off with going with this mixed commercial zone. But we've put the little bit higher design standard with the windows and things, is that this rendering would be adopted as part of the development agreement. You can see another rendering here. So again, the windows along the street, windows on the side of the building, and then you do have some overhead doors there on the back side of the building. So lastly, I just want to talk about the development agreement. So we've put things in the development agreement that, such as the renderings, would be adopted as an exhibit. So the development would have to be built to that to maintain the consistency in the site design. That the site would have to be designed according to our commercial design standards. We're not parking lot standards. We're not giving anything up on the site designing. No more than 50% of the building will be used as warehouse in conjunction with the sport training and tournament use. That the developer will work in good faith and commercially reasonable efforts to ensure the sports and training tournament use business is successful. So in the event that it's not successful, then the developer would be required to have a minimum of 3 storefront office warehouse units. And so you would have, typically, like we've seen in more of our industrial zones, you would have some office space up front with warehouse in the back. The Planning Commission added number 5 here: the HVA systems will not be placed on the building roof unless they're adequately screened from the public view. We put the 100 feet of frontage requirement in the development agreement. This is all conditioned upon a subdivision plat being recorded and a subdivision plat being recorded for this. We added number 8, also in the development agreement, the pedestrian access from 700 North to the sports training facility and tournament facility be provided. And then lastly, we listed, so a number of uses in the mixed commercial zone that we felt were inconsistent with what could be built in the surrounding Lindon Village zones. So no outdoor storage, limited, we took out certain types of manufacturing uses, no vehicles, used vehicle lots, no auto lube repair, body work, tune-up, no tire shops or servicing, no light rental equipment leasing, no assisted living, manufactured homes, cigars and cigarettes, disinfecting and exterminating, landscaping, peat extraction, which is allowed in the or in the mixed commercial, and tattoo shops. So those are things that would be prohibited if, according to the development agreement. So.
And with the landscaping services, the office and storage, that's specific to landscaping services? Or, because I'd heard you say that there would be 3 buildings that would be offices. And so is this just that one item that's saying there wouldn't be offices or storages if they were part of landscaping services?
Yeah, that's kind of a group, office and storage. So that's really more of an outside storage
Okay.
thing. So with that, we've got the 3 applications that you're considering with the general plan amendment, the zone change, and the development agreement. And let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I've included the current general plan goals in your staff report. What kind of identifies the mixed commercial zone and the light industrial zone, or sorry, mixed commercial versus Lindon Village zone. And I think Mr. Brown can speak to this. As staff, some of the things we just worry about is the long-term viability of the facility, to make sure that we want to see this successful as a sports facility. Our biggest concern is what if it doesn't? So how do we prepare for that? And we've tried to include things in the development agreement, ensuring the vision of the corridor is considered. If there's a repurposing of the building, how does it continue to enhance the area? And making sure that the building is designed with exterior materials that enhance the surrounding area as well. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. And
Yeah, I just had a quick one. So on your last comment there on the exterior design standards, what differences would come from the commercial gateway that we would lose that now would be allowed in the mixed commercial? I mean, you addressed it just a little bit.
yeah,
But-
so they have, let me go to the rendering. So they've got 57% windows along that front facade. The commercial design standards you get is 60% is required.
That's
Fairly
On par.
minimal. I think
The other exterior materials,
other
are
exterior.
the steel panels allowed in the commercial gateway?
So in the commercial design standards, they're allowed as a secondary material for 40% of the building facade. And so that's your biggest thing is the 60% of rock, brick, stone, decorative block. That's probably the biggest commercial design standard. Lighting is something we didn't address, so, but we would address that with Mr. Brown. It's not in the development agreement, but we would address that with him as, doing a more of a decorative than an industrial type lighting as well. The middle portion shows you're required to do a storefront window along the facade. So I guess, technically these windows on the sides, on those 2 lighter gray wings, technically the windows don't go to the ground. That would be required in the commercial design standards. So that's something, you'd be giving up to. So mainly the materials and those windows are the 2 main exterior things.
Would those windows, even though they don't go to the ground, would they still be required to be a storefront window? I mean, like from the same manufacturer that would be doing the entries and stuff like that?
I don't think necessarily these end ones they wouldn't be considered a storefront window.
Would not?
Would not, how they're currently designed out there on the ends. Because the storefronts will go down to the ground, like the middle portion here in some of in the kind of these black areas, and all the black areas.
I mean, you can still get design, and I will use the term storefront,
Yeah.
because it's the same material, maybe by a Conair or something like that, so that they match in looks, and that you're not bringing in then a different type of window.
I think they'll match
Different
as far
manufacturer.
as that, yes. Yeah, I think they would match as that. It's just not going down to the floor, basically. But similar design, that's what they're showing in there.
I know the Top Golf facility and vineyard uses the same type of building material, the metal. And I would love to invite Mr. Brown to come up now so he could answer specific questions about, obviously, this building right now, we're just seeing gray and black. Is there going to be any other additional colors in the metal? I see in the samples below.
That's great question. First off, thanks for having me. I'm a 20-year resident of Lindon. Okay, so this is more of like a passion that I'm excited about. It's not, we want to make sure it's successful, obviously. We put a team together that I feel really confident in, that we can go and make sure this thing happens. The way this kind of developed is I have 5 kids. All of them are in competitive sports. I've got a junior son that'll be a junior this year at Pleasant Grove High School. Daughter that'll be a sophomore at Pleasant Grove High School. She plays volleyball. He plays basketball. I got in at 1:30 a.m. last night from South Carolina with him doing basketball at a facility very similar to this. So as I've traveled kind of the country, and with our lack of, facilities around here in Utah County, Utah in general, this is where this kind of was born. And I would love to see it done in Lindon. To be honest with you, I could do this in a much cheaper way somewhere else, because I'm not required to do this kind of architecture, and we're talking about windows. Usually when you're dealing with a bunch of balls and stuff like that, windows aren't like the things you want a lot of necessarily. But when we went into this, we wanted something that would stand out as far as, the mayor, as far as the look. We wanted something that would stand out, has a really, this picture down here, Mike, if you want to pull that up, that's out of a climbing gym that's up in downtown Salt Lake, that's made out of this same materials. But it's just, it's a modern look, you're drawn in, kids, and so anyway, that's kind of what we went for. So as of now, it's just those are the 2 colors we have on there, Mayor. So, I don't know. What other questions you got?
Well,
We're excited about it. We're excited about what it will bring in. One thing that Mike didn't talk about is we currently have the group. When I say me, there's a group of us that are doing this, and we have the other 2 corners of the properties under contract as well. We're planning on, to be able to support this, we need to make sure the infrastructure is there with hotels. We're already speaking with hotels and connections and things that we feel like are going to draw more and more people into this. When you go out to these facilities out of state, this summer alone, I've been in Texas, South Carolina, Vegas, Anaheim, California, Omaha, Nebraska. I'm leaving this weekend to go to Chicago. So I go to see all these things. And it's all, there's
So as a
tens of
customer,
thousands of people that come in and spend a lot of money, look for places to stay.
tell us about the fast casual little dining out front that you're working on, and you think you'd.
Yeah, so my partner, he owns NutriCost. I don't know if you guys know what NutriCost is. It's a supplement manufacturing business. They do like $600 million a year in revenue. They do very, very well. we've kind of agreed to let him have naming rights on the building. It'll be called the Nutricos Sports Complex or something of that nature. But he owns, what is it? The Korean Cup Bop as well. So that's one of the ones he wants to put in there. And I'm sure we'll draw, as moms, my wife anyway, according to my wife, what she'd like to see is, meals and food available as you're coming and dropping off kids doing sports. So we're down the road with several groups that are wanting to come be part of this with volleyball, basketball, and pickleball currently, and they're all local groups, Pleasant Grove, Lindon people, and so we think it's going to be something that will strengthen youth sports. Facility that there's nothing like this in the state. So we think it's going to be a great place, great location, and bring a lot to the area. So,
Jason, we had chatted about, is there going to be a second story level or a track? You were considering that?
we're kind of like going through those last little details right now. So I don't know yet. That's a good question. There will be some kind of executive office space in the front of the building. That Mike had I don't know where that picture went, but yeah, in that kind of area we'll have a supplement section where kids can go and buy supplements. We're gonna have concession stands in there. We're talking to several different businesses that do that kind of food prep to come in there, and then some executive offices above it. That's what we're looking to do.
What's the type of construction of the building?
It's a steel building with the facade that.
So a pre-engineered metal building?
It's partly. To get to the scale we want, there's definitely some custom stuff that we have to do on it to get it there. But yeah, I don't know. Initially, when we went down this path, we thought we were gonna be able to do tilt up stuff, and then Mike burst our bubble and made us spend a lot more money than we wanted to spend. So that's where we're at currently.
And there's a trade-off on size from pre-engineered to go to tilt up for sure.
Sure. But the good thing about steel, it's gonna. Before we're gonna have to go in and place columns and support columns in strategic places, and with a steel building you can span a lot of that without those kind of columns to get in the way of what you're trying to do inside. So
I imagine this will have something AKA like the front climbing and maybe the Top Golf Vineyard. Yeah, something. Yeah, those type of structures.
yeah, that's
Front climbing
so
gym.
that's why we kind of went with that. Our architect is like, man, if you want something that's going to get attention and look awesome,
really cool.
This building's been there for 15 years, I think 10 something years, and it still looks brand new. This stuff holds up really good, and kind of catches your eye.
This is the other sports facility on 114th South. It's called Sports City. So it's very similar in I haven't been in there, but it seems like it's pretty similar in function.
If ours ended up like Sports City, I would not do this. Put it that way.
Theirs says they have 4 basketball, 6 volleyball, 2 futsal, a couple turf fields.
They have we're doing like NBA courts. We're not doing like the plastic. That's what they have in there. It's just the plastic courts and stuff like that. So we're trying to do like.
You would attract the tournament team.
There's no tournaments taking place in that. It's my 5th grader that hates playing on the plastic courts that goes up there. So we're trying to attract like an Adidas contract or a Nike contract, something of that nature to bring them in. So currently we're on the Adidas circuit is what we play on, and those are the facilities we've been.
And you're saying there's no competition in Utah right now for those contracts right now?
There's nothing like that in Utah.
What are some of the other ideas that your partners are talking about? You've got the ground, now we're talking, maybe Marriott Hotel I know there's been some conversations. Any other entities?
Yeah, so hotel, restaurants, just things to help support. I mean, that's gonna be kind of our, anchor to what we're doing. And so whatever we can do to go around to support that and bring people to that location is what we're shooting for. So,
And as you've traveled the country and you've been a client
yeah.
of this, these types of facilities, obviously you're seeing things that work well, things that don't work well as well, or you don't enjoy. What are some of the best of class type things that you're, wearing in your,
Well,
your
that's
plans
a good
here?
question. Good question. And I mean, in order to make one of these happen and to have long-term viability, you've got to get creative creative ways to bring revenue in. There was a facility up north that opened, was a 3-court facility up in the Ogden area this summer, and it opened and closed its doors the same month. Okay, and they just you can't hinge the success of the building off of a couple groups coming in there and leasing space. You have to go get, there'll be people that will come in and pay money for naming rights on courts. There'll be people that will come in and, throw cornhole tournaments. You have to get really creative. The guy that we have, hired to come do that stuff, his name's Tim Davis. He is like the guy in the state of Utah for youth sports, and we feel really confident that he'll be a guy that can make sure the revenue's in a strong place to make this happen for 20 plus years. So, does that answer your question? Probably not.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so in the development agreement, at the get-go, no more than 50% of the building can be this Nutricom use, which is one of the partners in the project, so he's happy to, as it scales and you need more courts.
Yeah, he currently leases, now he's up to 700,000 feet of warehouse space in the vineyard. And so he's just like, hey, let's scale this the right way. Let's make sure we don't dive in and become one of those stories where, it takes time to build up that revenue on a sports complex. So he's just gonna come in, lease the space that we don't need yet. And as we grow and do what we think we can do, he'll just start moving out of that space incrementally until he's all the way out, and we just have as a full. The thing as an investor, the reason I've asked the committee to, consider where we're at is I just don't want to be, you always have to have a plan B, right? And I hope that never happens. I don't anticipate that happening, but I just want to be able to be in a place that if something were to go really bad, I don't want to be stuck with a big building and not be able to repurpose it and do something with it. So that's why I've asked you guys to be a little bit lenient on, some of these zone changes and things like that to allow us to at least have a chance to make sure this thing can be successful.
With the Nutricom partner, is he gonna be doing any fulfillment of product in this location that might generate sales tax?
So he's open to do whatever. Yeah, I've actually talked to him about that specifically.
Because we talked about, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
So the good thing is, another plus
Yeah.
that I didn't know about this till last meeting is I guess there's a waste place behind me.
Yeah, the ACE.
I
Transfer
learned
station.
I learned about that last time, which isn't awesome, but I think for the city, it is definitely gonna be something that's gonna block out all that area. The building itself's, 40-foot tall building, so I think it'll be a nice buffer zone for the corridor and what you guys have going on.
Yeah, that's
as far
another
as
city.
expansion. What's that?
That's a different city.
Yeah, well,
But
it is what it is.
Sure.
It is what it is. I mean, it sounds like, according to Mike, I'll bring some Glade over there if it starts smelling bad, but according to Mike, they keep it fairly clean and smell-free over there, so I'm gonna believe him. Is that right, Mike? Do you wanna double down on that statement?
I was over there.
writing?
Yeah, they were doing a good job when I was over
All
there.
right.
Maybe one more question in the construction world. I am a general contractor, hence some of the nature of those.
Oh, I should just come to you and ask these questions. I don't know, man.
Well, I'm curious how you
I'm just a
plan,
guy trying to lose some money.
I'm curious how you plan to divide, or have your demising wall to separate the two, and how that might move, or how much of a separation you're trying to do. And this is as much as a curiosity question as anything.
I actually haven't even thought about that. I don't know. The architect said something that he's in a, since there's like different sections as you go, that he can divide it really easily. But I haven't asked him that specific question. If you want to tell me exactly how you do it, that'd be great. I'll pass that along.
We do what the architect says.
Yeah, all right.
Jason, I've got a few questions. Appreciate that it's a passion project. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you've been here 20 years. Your kids are in sports. Mine are as well.
So I'll count on you to bring your kids.
I'll be there. These other facilities, because I've been to most of the facilities, the sports city. I think NutriCost has a court in behind one of their vineyards that my kids have played on before. Anyways, these other locations you're going to out of state that maybe mirror yours or more comparable to yours, are they in retail locations? What type of locations are these in?
It varies. It varies. The one out in Rock Hill is right in the center of the city. The one in College Station, I mean, everything's so spread out in Texas. It's kind of the one in College Station is actually a city bonded facility. So it just kind of varies.
Okay.
I think the front climbing, they're right there in
You know,
downtown.
You know,
Salt Lake, too.
I don't know what groups your kids play with, or they play basketball. What do they play? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
basketball.
With Mountain City or what?
My son just plays on the Timpanogos. He's young though.
Okay,
He's
cool.
he's 11.
So we're attracting like the best groups in the county to come do basketball and volleyball, and we've been very selective of who we're gonna have do it. Just how long they've been around, what kind of work do they do? Oh yeah, this is my buddy owns this one down in Mapleton.
This is
He's the mayor. He's the mayor though, Dallas.
This is the newest one I'm aware of. It's right there on Highway 89 in Mapleton.
And that one's got rubber floors in it.
I think
Which
a
is-
comparable use is like the front climbing, which we showed a picture of
Yeah.
that, real sleek. It's kind of similar. I know Mayor Silvestrini has a front climbing, big, huge facility right in their downtown city center design on Main Street as part of, the gathering, as one of the activities there. So these do seem to seamlessly kind of be in sometimes the economic districts of
Yeah.
the community too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, that it pulls in a bunch of people, and, I mean, it sounds like you guys have some really good things going for the corridor there, and so hopefully this would be something that can help, generate more.
I
traffic.
agree. I love the idea of this facility. The history, I'm sure you know a little bit of it. We, even before all our time, went into debt to put that road in as a city, and we've been paying on that debt. And the idea has always been retail. Hey, we did this so that we could have retail. And I think that the courts, that idea really fits that idea well. I think it pulls. I love the idea of the restaurants and the hospitality and on the neighboring sites. But I think my biggest concern is your Plan B. I would hate for us to change the zoning here with everything we have coming in the pipeline, which is a lot and pretty significant, to change the zone and have this just become a NutriCost warehouse. And I know that's a Plan B, but for me, that's a big concern. Van puts on his contractor hat. I put on my banker hat. I've financed, unfortunately, a lot of these rubber corded, not necessarily your competitors. I agree that they're different, and I've seen a lot of them struggle. You mentioned the one that opened and closed. I've seen a lot of these types of facilities struggle, and a lot of times they need kind of a runway to get those revenues to where they need to be. I guess, talk to me about your experience, your team. How long's the runway? Do you guys feel comfortable in your Plan A that, hey, we're gonna make this work. We're gonna give it the capital, the working capital it needs to make sure it does work.
Yeah, that's great. Those are all great questions.
Yeah, more
So-
than the 30-day operating.
For sure. So first and foremost, Min and I are in cash positions. We're not really worried about the 30-day, 90-day, 120-day
Right.
deal. I think when we've gone in and requested the portion of it being a warehouse, we just, listen, to go blow this thing out with 8 courts right off the bat, probably just is not smart. Just is not a smart thing. Like you're saying, it takes time to start bringing those crowds in. We're very confident we can get there for sure. We just wanted to hedge our bet a little bit by saying, hey, let's start still bigger than anything else out there, but do it in a responsible way as we go try and grow the business. Min is a very successful businessman. I've done okay. Tim Davis this is all he does. He's been doing this for 20 years, and he runs, I don't know if you guys know of any, since you know basketball, what the Utah Prospects is.
I've heard of them. Don't know.
They just won back-to-back Adidas championships, which has never been done before. It's really bringing a lot of visibility to the state of Utah. But he's the most well-connected guy in the sports world in the state. And he currently runs
Norton.
The Norton facility. And that's the same thing. They're just like, man, that thing's packed constantly. It's just small. It's 1 court.
Yeah.
So he's just like, I've got no doubts as we've kind of ran through, our numbers, and I got no doubts that I can go make this thing happen. And me and Min believe in that. And so we're ready to, if we want to just do a warehouse, let's say this, if we want to just be like, oh man, we have, this might be a 50-50 deal, we would go do it in Vineyard where we get
Right, where
land,
your
we get the
partner
land
has stuff.
cheaper,
Yeah.
and we could flip that thing into a warehouse the next day and not even sweat it. You know what I mean? So we're definitely putting it out there saying, hey, we believe that we can get it done. We're going to spend a little bit more money on the building, on the land, but we think we can build something special that's going to last, and we want to be, a big attractor to the area.
I love to hear that,
So-
because for me, if it wasn't for the courts, we obviously wouldn't even be considering it. We probably wouldn't be here today. And so it's great for me to hear that passion behind it and hear the drive there, because I do think it can be a really cool facility. I'm actually really excited about it and the draw that it can be. If it were all 8 courts, would we have to have done a zoning change? The gym would have fit.
Right.
Right.
It would have been a conditional use, I think. Yeah, the warehouse, the 50% warehouse is what kicks it into not being prohibited in the Lindon Village zone. So we would allow up to a 20% warehouse amount as an ancillary use, but yeah, the 50% is what kicks it in.
And once the zoning change is made a year down the road, worst case scenario, there won't be any decision-making if they wanted to take the whole building as NutriCost.
They'll have to come
Based on
back
the
to
zoning.
planning commission for site plan approval, and they'll have to divide it into 3 separate units that would
Okay.
either have office or retail in the front.
Okay.
And when you say, so quick clarification for our understanding, when you say 3 separate units, so the entire front facade would become traditional Lindon Village retail or office?
No, it'd still be a
Users.
mixed-use zone, so, it could
Front
be
to
an
back?
office in the front.
Right,
With-
front to back.
The back would be, yes, it would be warehouse or fulfillment or something like that.
Is there still that
Most of the businesses nowadays, what
Yes.
they're going to is like having a small storefront. And again, I'm only saying this is for clarification. Hopefully this never is the case, right? But if it all failed and you don't bring your kids and all that kind of
It'll
stuff.
be my fault.
Yeah. We'll make sure we put that on the record too.
We need to have a few more.
But if it all failed, we'd go and say, okay, who can lease a big building like this too, right? So it's like, okay, let's go divide it up and, get people to bring in some storefront stuff in the front and use storage, warehouse, whatever in the back. most smaller businesses are going to that model anyways, and that's where we feel like that's something we could lease, and that's something we could.
And I shared with the
Transition to.
council, when I've been to the chamber events, some of the
Yeah.
biggest, fastest growing companies, that's how they start. They start in a garage, someone's home-based business, and then it goes viral on TikTok, and then they're fulfilling in some back
Crazy, isn't it?
Class C, D, E warehouse junky place, and then they realize, oh, we need a storefront because people want to find us, and so they want a front, but then they need lots of fulfillment, and it generates sales tax because the fulfillment is the point of sale in the state of Utah,
Yeah.
not the person's door receiving the product. So it still can be a great revenue generator, but what I understand that this development agreement is, the building has to look sharp, it has to meet the guidelines of the Lindon Village Zone, it's gonna look like it fits, it's gonna still be great, and then the users would still have that front, again, compatible use happening in the back where we have maybe the Glade spray and the trucks.
Well, it's definitely
Yeah.
not gonna look like a warehouse anyway,
Yeah,
for sure. It's
so-
definitely gonna look, yeah.
The question is it, I know at the front end, it's no more than 50%. Is there a percentage called out in the Plan B?
We didn't put that in the development agreement. If that's something you think needs to go in there, then we can look at that and have that discussion with Jason.
Okay.
Have you looked at, you've talked about all those facilities that you're familiar with around the country. Do they share kind of how long it takes to ramp up and build and get the success? I mean, is it a
Not so much.
Is it a
It's just-
5-year, a 10-year?
Like I said, Tim, our best experience is with Tim Davis. It's ran the Norton facility, and he's been doing it a long time. Like, he's busting at the seams for sure currently. And with his contacts and what he wants to do with tournaments, you can't run a tournament out of that one court facility. A lot of the revenue that he's gonna be able to bring in is through big tournaments, volleyball. Volleyball is a much higher generator of revenue than basketball is, actually. But we'll, four basketball courts is eight volleyball courts. And we'll run massive tournaments out of there, day one to get that going.
But no idea yet of a ramp-up period that you think it might take?
Do you have a business model kind of
Yeah,
projection?
we do. Tim thinks, that we can be to where we need to be, that like month one. You really feel.
To fill the half.
Yep, to fill the half. And then as we go, that's when we'll incrementally move into the other space.
So as soon as you break ground, he's getting the contacts out of this
We'll have
facility coming
contracts
online?
done before we break ground.
Oh, okay, so you're
Yeah.
gonna have them in hand.
Yeah, and they're ready. They're ready.
So the conversations have already been started.
Yeah. We're doing all we can to make sure this thing starts out on the right foot and we go full steam ahead. So, honestly, the thing that we're up against now is time and making sure we can get the thing done
For the season.
for seasons to start up. Because they don't want to be delayed going into that process. A lot of these groups, they can wait, but they prefer not to.
This one in Mapleton that we've talked about, I don't know their management plan, but they have been busy from day one. Because I live just a couple miles from here, and one thing, they didn't build enough parking. And that's one thing I do think is good about Jason's plan, is it has lots of parking. I'll see cars parked, half a mile down this road on both sides of the highway there.
Well, in talking to Dallas, what Dallas did to kind of mitigate his risk is he did storage units connected to the thing rather than
He did
warehouse.
office warehouse in the back
So
here
that's
and
all,
storage
those are all
units.
storage units, and that's where, that was kind of his same idea, is like, man, if this thing doesn't start going and generating what I need to, at least I have the storage units there to kind of help subsidize some of that cost. So,
Do we have a parking stall count already identified? Not yet?
No,
We're
we
just looking
haven't,
at
but-
zone and, yeah.
The plan
ordinance.
shows 470.
which is quite a few.
Well, it sounds like you're open to hosting all kinds of creative events
We
as
are.
well.
Yeah.
But
for
you are
sure.
gonna have very fine,
We're
nice
talking-
court material.
Yeah, but we're also looking into maybe doing some kind of stage on one side, that we could do different types of events there. That's actually the facility in Houston has a stage like that. We found out.
So I will tell you, there's a lot of dance companies in the area, and
Yeah.
they all have been telling me there's not enough places to host like their big
Yeah.
recitals and shows and things like that.
The only thing is, the challenge for us is we're not gonna have like an amphitheater type, it's just a flat floor.
Yeah. But if you had a stage for everyone to
Yeah.
congregate. All right, council, what are your thoughts on this? This is a public hearing, so we'll open it up now to the public if there's any questions in regards to these three ordinance amendments here for this development agreement. All right, council, do you have any?
And Your Honor, can I just make a point? Because we're three, this has to be a unanimous vote to change a zone. We have to have a majority of the council, so just remember that.
Understood. I'll motion to close the public hearing. I think we can all agree on that.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, looking over the development agreement, obviously this is the third item, but we kind of have to talk about everything as a whole before we proceed with each vote. So is there anything currently, council, that you need further information or things that you would want to discuss in regards to how this development agreement would need to be packaged to feel comfortable with this moving forward?
Mike, where are you sitting on that? If things go bad, how are we? I mean, I think we're all pretty excited about having it succeed as
Yeah.
drawn, but
We tried to include things in the development agreement that hopefully would mitigate that, you know, so it's not just one warehouse divided up into, 30,000 square foot sections.
but somebody could have all three of those.
They could have all three of those, yeah. Yep, that's true. So we've tried to mitigate it as much as possible. I think there's a few tweaks on the exterior that we could continue to put in place, but.
Council, any other questions or concerns or positive thoughts about this?
Yeah, I think it's like what Jake had said. It just, if it doesn't work, I want it to look like what we intended for our gateway.
Still fits.
Yeah, I mean, they've made that very clear from the start. I get it. I'm like I said, I drive by there every single day, multiple times a day, so I get it. But, I mean, no matter what, it's gonna look pretty dang nice, backing up to a waste dump.
Oh, and that's noted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have questions. I was trying to think if I could formulate them into a question. I'm not a sports guy. I don't have kids in sports, so this is all different world. But I have nephews that do club sports, and I understand the concept. I think my challenge with this is with some of the other pieces moving in this exact area, with the addition of this, I wonder if, depending on how other things pan out that are in process, if we're shifting further away from the sort of vision of that document of 700 North Gateway, and then sort of running out of pieces of the puzzle. But that's nothing that, it's like a question, it's just, it's like there's other pieces that are going to change the landscape of that space visually and otherwise. And so when I see all of these things together, it's hard for me to bring that. When I was flipping through the 700 North plan, looking at the photos, that were the exemplars of what we were aiming for, it just is going further away from that. And so that's kind of a lingering concern I have. I think it's wherever it lands, I want it to be great for you. You know, I want you to have tons of success in it. Think it's really cool that you're even considering us when you could do it much in a much less expensive way, and it's a really high quality. There's so many pluses to it as well. But that's a big struggle for me right now, that this would be, when I was looking at this would be a part of the TOD core that would be just across the street from what could be the town center. Anyway, so it's just like
Those are fair.
it's a hard
I'd love
thing
to
for me
share
to
with
wrap my
you,
mind.
I'd love to share with you kind of, those are all very valid points. This document was meant to be somewhat, these are kind of holding spots. It's somewhat flexible. Obviously, we didn't have specific users in mind to bring. The one thing that I think our town center really needs is true, things that are gonna have a tourism draw. Something that's what I love about this is a regional draw. There's nothing like this in the state of Utah. We've talked about our corridor. We want it to be unique and special, bring boutique kind of uses and unique things that then will kind of ignite and kick off people coming and spending their money on other things. So I think this is definitely does that. It becomes a regional, unique, boutique kind of a draw. People are going to spend their money eating out or whatever other businesses we have in our village. Number two, I mean, that's kind of like a tourism draw. What does Lindon have right now that's sort of a touristic draw? I can't, I'm trying to think if we do yet. Nothing yet, specifically. So also, when you do a town center, you've got to have something that creates active engagement. So I think when you look at other traditional brick mortar places, they kind of become a flash in the pan and they're vibrant for a time and then they go away and then they get old and dilapidated. And to create a vibrant, and if you look at our original documents in creating this center, we need to have a variety of industries and uses, entertainment, daily needs, food, the entertainment. And so I think this fills a really important piece of that puzzle of the entertainment, the tourism draw. What I also have to share with the council is, we've had this land available now for a very long time. Mike here, the broker, he has brought to myself and Mike Florence and sometimes the council many applicants on this north side. And nearly every time they say, okay, Lindon City, you have this really, you want this upper scale architectural standards and a town center vibe. Well, we can bring some people, but give us housing. We have to have housing to make that pencil. These guys are not asking for a single door of housing. And I know that has been an obstacle for the council in the past. They are bringing truly commercial uses. And so I think that's something we need to keep in mind. And also, yes, is this something that, how does it fit with that whole piece? I think it definitely fits. And then the buffer is a reality as well of what's behind it and how that's gonna screen what our neighbors in Pleasant Grove, this is, has an industrial-like use behind it. Oh, Mike,
If I sit here,
yes,
am I considered public?
yes. Well,
I'm
you're
not
public regardless.
I'm his representative.
Yes, come on up, join. So anyway, I think we have, I think if someone came with this in any other place, I would have those same hesitations. But having seen so many applicants come wanting to do things that are not bringing a true commercial entertainment, activity, hotel, restaurant, they've said, let us do housing and we'll figure out that stuff. Instead, we've got some great stuff here. So the difference is we need to have a little bit of a building tweak here, just as the Plan B. Go ahead, Michael.
One of the things, and it's been mentioned a little bit, this creates a buffer for that transfer station. We need something there that's going to be tall, that's going to mask that transfer station for restaurants to even consider this location as a viable location for a restaurant. Think about it. You know, you got a restaurant here, a huge building, his, and then a transfer station. No one's gonna know it's back there. Now, we went and visited that transfer station. Carolyn and I, Mike was there. They are really doing the absolute best possible job that anybody can do to mask the uses of that, keep the smells down. And these guys appear and seem to be a very responsible management team for that. But on the same token, no one's gonna wanna have a restaurant here and a nice little low building back. No one's gonna put anything back there tall enough to make that go away like this is going to happen. So, and it brings in lots and lots of business. I mean, lots of people come in all the time. So it makes putting restaurants on that corridor much more appealing to these restaurant owners. Because now they've got this massive draw that's gonna bring in huge business all the time. We have major competition with Pleasant Grove Boulevard. I mean, you think about, look at what's up there. I mean, there is probably a dozen restaurants currently up there, and they're all flocking to that location because restaurants love other restaurants for business. This will be a draw to get those people.
Which
to
is
make-
kind of crazy, because I feel like the Linden corridor is way better than that.
I
There's
think so
nothing to
too.
do there.
Like, yeah, well, and just access is weird. I mean, I get it, and hopefully the additive of us being a buffer between the way station and all that is great. But our view is not that. It's, for us, it's like, what can we do to anchor that area, and what can we actually bring in as far as other infrastructure to help support that? And that's why that's why we've been making sure that we own those two corners as well, because we know what
Will
kind
you
of
show us
traffic
the
we're gonna get in there.
corners, the
Yeah.
aerial of what you're closing on the land?
It makes the need for a hotel and other restaurants very valid for that location, and that's what we want. That's what everybody wants.
We just,
I'm gonna continue it then for sure.
so we just know what kind of traffic that's gonna pull in, and so that's why as we went down it, our initial plan wasn't to own the corners, but we're like, no, we're going to.
So you're gonna, so Anderson
So
Boulevard
as that-
goes through.
That's, I guess it's still under debate whether that road's gonna go all the way through or not.
I don't think it's in our plan.
Okay. Well,
So there'll be a new signal here at Anderson Boulevard, 700 North, so there'll be
Yeah.
this road will go through, so you have the two
so
corners.
currently, we have both sides of that road under contract that we plan on putting restaurants.
Sorry, could you show that again?
Yeah, let me pull it up on the,
A different, yeah, it's covered up a little bit here in this rendering.
so 700 North will go through to this 490 West in Pleasant Grove, and there'll be a signal here at Anderson Boulevard, 700 North, and so this will be the corners when that road goes through. He has under contract these two corners as well.
They have 5 acres on the west side of the road and 4 acres on the east side. And then just west of that 5 acres, and it's not exactly 5, it's like 5 point something, there would be the medical center that we're still just going through some red lines on a contract.
Which, the medical?
Yeah.
Okay. Folks, all right.
The medical center's not going to pull the kind of activity that his business is gonna pull.
Does the medical facility pull the business when they hurt them? No.
Wow, that's
They
another
are a physical
compatible.
rehab center.
Unfortunately, we do have some injuries from time to time. Let's pull them over on our plot.
There you go. And everything that we're negotiating with that particular group, it's all nitpicky stuff. It's not, we've already agreed on the price, we've already agreed on almost all the terms. There's just, they're a national group, so there's a lot of things in their contract.
Right, takes time.
Takes a little bit of time.
Jason, the last I chatted with you, your group was considering maybe in the second level, will you have any like weightlifting facilities or like workout training
still-
areas?
I don't have
Not sure.
specific answers to that yet. There's room to do that kind of thing. We have some office space for sure in the front of the more like executive office type stuff that we're gonna do. But there's definitely, it depends on how it lays out, I guess is
Yeah,
what I
still
would say.
getting there. Okay,
Yeah.
well, good to know. So we'll be seeing,
And same with the
Feed
track. I
commission.
personally want the track, the upstairs track in there. It just comes down to how it's gonna lay out at the end of the day with, as we kind of fumble through numbers and figure out what makes sense.
Well, maybe you'll land some tournament contracts and you'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, we're ready to build it out right out the
There
door.
you go, there you go.
That'd be great news.
Do you-
Anyway.
My
go
wife has requested a track, I'll put it that way. Yeah,
ahead. Add to that list.
It's done.
yeah, so,
She's a runner, so
yeah.
marathons and stuff. Okay. Cole, anything else?
Oh, no, I would, so, because I understand the comment earlier, I think, Jake, with your questions, like if this was just the full 8 courts, you wouldn't even be here. You just need the warehouse space to sort of be wise financially until this takes off. So I guess part of my maybe hesitation is because I don't know what the business is if it didn't go through. Because in this case, we do have this little buffer of, I guess we'd choose if we make it an accommodation. What sort of business would be successful in that space if the sports were to go out? And it seems like there's still some questions about 50% in the new business and someone owns all 3. And so it's like a little bit of, here's a building. I guess we have the limited use, the land use that would govern what would go in there. I don't know, I guess, and so then with the restaurants, there's a lot of like cool vision. I've just noticed a couple places where the commercial's fallen through in Lindon, like still vacant lots. And they were telling us, oh, we've got a line of people that are gonna fill these things and it's just, you're holding us up and we'll fill them up and they're still vacant. And so part of me, I find that my hesitation comes from that, where it's like commitments from some of these other, or even if like an MOU saying, you know, once this goes through, we're in, you know, Cup Up or whatever the other place is, just to make it, or the hotel, if that's going to be viable. I can't quite wrap my head around what the business model, what it would be if the sports left. You would sell it or try to lease it, I guess, to someone to salvage what you could.
I mean, yeah, you definitely have to repurpose it and lease it, but you know, what you're gonna attract with that kind of, my guess would be, you would attract a lot of businesses with that building to come in there and have storefront and have accessibility to run warehouse and all that stuff in the back of it. That's what most medium-sized businesses are doing nowadays. So I think it would be something a lot of people would gravitate towards, in my opinion. Just, you know, they've given me some restrictions, like no tattoo shops. And
All that stuff,
which is, I get it. I don't want to look at that stuff either as I drive by there. But yeah, I definitely think, I mean, I think there'd be a wide array of businesses that would be attracted to the area.
It is an upscale.
It's an upscale area and it's an upscale building. But you know, I guess I haven't put a ton of time and thought into that because
Sure.
that's not what,
You want to win.
that's
so
not
it's
our
like-
intention
yeah.
at all, so.
So, I'm sorry, when your name Mike was, hi Mike. So if we would have just changed this without an applicant, you know, if we just would have said,
Never have done it.
well,
No, in fact, never would have been asked for.
so,
I have had many, in fact, if I could have done warehouse on this site, this thing would have
Be
sold
built out
7
already.
years ago. I've been on this for 7.5 years.
Yeah.
Going on 8 right now. And the mayor is absolutely correct. We have come to the table with multiple situations where residential has been a prime
Sure.
factor in that. And
So-
I convinced the sellers, let's not even entertain anything that has a residential element in it. And they finally listened to me and agreed. Let's stay away from that. Because we've been down the road with these guys 8, 10, 12 months at a time,
yeah,
trying to get this done, and it's not going anywhere. Nobody wants that in that location. This fits it absolutely perfect, and what the best part of it is, even just the rumors of this going in has increased the interest in the location.
I guess,
That's what's driving the interest. If
Sure.
you guys don't know that, that's what's driving a lot of the interest for the south side as well, is this building. You know, when this building goes in, we're gonna have a lot of interest in it because it brings people it's an anchor. What else can be said about, a restaurant's not an anchor? You know, a little drive-through, that's not an anchor. Nothing, anchors are something that's going to bring, like a theater. That's a huge anchor. It brings a lot of people. This has the same draw as a theater. It's a different kind of draw because you've got people coming there, but they spend all fucking day long there.
Yeah.
They eat lunch, they eat dinner, they look for hotel rooms because they're coming from out of the area. These people they're glued to this location, and then once they see the location, they're most likely gonna come back for the next tournament and maybe even come back and move here.
I guess
I love Utah enough. I know we've got a lot of things going for us here in Utah. This is the kind of thing that we've been looking for. I had another group that wanted to do the same thing. You remember when we were trying to do that, and the interest rates went through the roof, and they pulled back and didn't do it.
And that's one of the things too, Jason mentioned, things are struggling right now to get funding and financing. And these guys are coming, with their own investment in this to make it happen. And so I think that's where they're in a very strong position that they can execute on this because it's a cash move. But they are wanting a little bit of just a little back pocket insurance policy, right?
We're trying to not be too dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's wise. I think I might have said the question wrong. So you're saying if we would have switched this to a mixed commercial, no one would wanted to have come in and built these front office, back storage?
I would have filled it up with industrial or warehousing. I would have filled this entire site with.
Yeah, but you're saying there isn't an appetite for someone to come in with a storefront warehouse in the back?
Oh, yeah, there is.
Okay,
There's
because
lots
then
of
I was
that.
like, then
There
we're
is
shooting
lots of
ourselves
that.
in our foot.
There is, I could
by-
have sold the whole site if we had storefront with warehouse in the back. But that was not what we wanted for the site. It wasn't what we wanted, and
Yeah.
it wasn't what the city wanted either. So I've always discouraged that. I don't know how many phone calls I have fielded, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, sorry, it won't fit.
Yeah.
And I don't even encourage anything like that. I will not, 'cause I don't want to waste either my time or the city's time, and especially not my client's time, going down the road on something that I know will not, be something that the city has an appetite for.
Yeah.
This works perfect because it brings a lot of the uses that we really, really want for the location. And it will get people's attention away from Pleasant Grove Boulevard for, where they would like to put people think they want to put their business there. This will change that and it'll bring it down here.
So I'm just gonna interpose here. I am in favor of this. I like the things. Been here for a long time, looking at all the projects that have come. All of the things that we've discussed, but I'm suggesting we do a little straw poll before we make a motion, because if we don't have three, I will motion to continue.
Thank you.
If we don't have three and then it's done and we have to start the whole process again after we have a time period that we have to wait, so.
But we wouldn't if we continued, right?
We wouldn't if we continued.
So,
So yes.
Because we have 2 council members not in attendance tonight.
Oh, that's fine.
So
I
we're short a little bit.
so I would support a continuance, but I think I'm not ready yet. So I would be a no, but I would support a continuance to have some time to kind of button up in my mind some of the other issues. Or you wouldn't even need my vote with the other 2 guys probably. It's like my one no you could still carry with the other 2 if they're wanting it. But I would support a continuance.
Jake, where are you?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. I've been back and forth. There's some real concerns I have. But Jason, I'll be honest, you moved the needle a lot for me. I love your passion. I love the idea. And if this can be what we want it to be, I think it will be such a boon for that corridor with the things we have coming. And so I think I'm probably there that I would be fine moving forward personally. I'll support a continuance as well, but I think if we were to vote tonight, I think I'm probably there with what I've heard tonight. So, Van, how about you?
No, that's what I said. I'm in favor of this. I'm a yes.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to do a straw poll, that if we weren't going to make it pass, I would continue so we could get the other 2 here.
Well,
I don't have any idea what they would vote, but.
and I've found myself in a similar position to Cole back and forth, but again, having watched the Planning Commission discuss it in detail, a lot to weigh here. Again, very concerned about that Plan B,
But I think you take in all the factors, and I think, you know, the X factor being you and your team, I really like that. But I agree. I think that maybe we continue this and we get a full council. I mean, this is a big decision. It really is. It sets a tone for that corridor. And
I like the buffer.
I
For
love
sure
the
that I guess
buffer,
I like the no
that's a
residential.
big piece of pushing me as well.
For any of you, is there anything maybe you've seen that's lacking in the development agreement that we could strengthen with Jason during this time?
I think there was a guarantee that I would bring my kids there that needed to be added in, but other than that, I think we're good.
That was on the record.
Not for me.
Cole, is there anything that you feel needs to be buttoned up, as you mentioned?
I liked the thought of considering what, you know, what applies if it does revert to a different setup. Thinking through that
see,
makes
the
a lot of
exterior-
sense.
The way I would say it, Cole, which I totally get, I respect your thoughts and all that stuff. I mean, let's just say it went that way, which is your concern. I mean, if you visualize this building and you had, you know, 3, I don't know. I mean, you could put a Dick's Sporting Goods in there. You could put, I mean, and that's what that stuff is. You have a bunch of warehouse in the back and a bunch of retail in the front. You know, there's a lot of businesses in my mind that would flock to something like that.
Yeah, and the reason. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And not be, and I mean, I don't think anyone would look at that and think any kind of warehouse at all. That does not.
Sure, no, you've done so many things already. Like, that's the thing. This is so annoying, and I'm so sorry to prolong this. You've made accommodations already with the 50%. I mean, you're doing a lot, and I know what I'm doing is obnoxious, and I'm sorry for that.
Sure.
But I think for me, I also think if we said, hey, nothing's going through, and we opened it and had these sort of parameters for something else to see what other people would come up with, what other offerings, you know, I don't know. And with some of the other things playing out as they've been spoken of, it would also make me think about notions of draw and what that would present.
I can
But-
speak to the people that have called me looking for space, like the office,
Yeah.
off retail with some warehouse. We had Bell and Lash under contract for a long time. Couldn't make it work because they wanted more warehouse, but they huge retail front. We've had a furniture place that wanted to come in here. We had they were a food supply, like a restaurant front supply.
Oh, yeah.
But they needed warehouse.
Everyone's needing warehouse, yeah.
Who else did we have? We had another big user. We had 2 furniture places that wanted to come in, but they needed more warehouse.
Cool.
Those are the big.
Those are the other clients. And so I mean, that's why I would support a continuance, because I am wanting
Flooring.
this to be helpful. You know, I want it to go more.
We had a huge flooring company
just-
that wanted to come in and occupy. In fact, we were looking at them for the 5 acres on the west end.
Cool. And it's out of your control, but I think probably for me, if there was any other concrete things about some of the restaurant pads or some of those other things, that would only increase the odds for me, because it's like this bigger package deal to say, you know, this is when they're going to come in. So it's like, oh, it's just not going to be 2 empty pads and a cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my pitch to you on that would be, the bigger package deal is we're gonna bring something in that's gonna be an anchor for the area, and we currently have 2 of the corners under contract to bring in hotels and to bring in things that are going to support that.
Which is great.
So that's what I would say be the bigger package deal if you're looking at this thing, rather than just, you know.
I think
a
what
buffered
you're saying is
space.
your toe is not in the water. You've got,
Yeah,
you're further in.
We want to
going along.
make sure that the ecosystem around it supports what it is.
And
You know,
they're biting
that
off
makes sense.
17 acres of that site.
Right.
They're definitely want to make sure that business right there.
Succeeds.
This is a fail-safe. This isn't like, hey, let's get this passed so we can slide it in
You're right.
on the backside. No, that's like, hey, just in case something doesn't work quite right, we have this to fall back on. That's the only reason for it. And the reason for that is he's trying to make sure that the business is healthy enough, you know, because they own it. They're gonna build the forecourts and they're gonna support it with a little bit of warehousing from one of their partners. It's not even
Right.
somebody from the outside.
Right.
To make sure that they have the money to make this thing float through its rough, you know, get up the ground and get rolling time.
Yeah.
That's the only reason for this. They would leave it completely vacant, but why not have some revenue there that's gonna help this succeed, and that's what
Right.
they're looking for.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a significant investment into our community. We really appreciate
Yep.
you working through
Totally.
this and everything. Time, does this throw anything
So I don't know what that,
significantly?
I don't know what this like means, a continuance, what does that kick it down?
Just means that it would come back up in our August meeting, With-
August 17th is when it would come back to
meeting
you.
with the full
Yeah,
council.
it's a month.
Yeah, okay.
Unless we've changed your mind.
Is that, yeah, is there something that could button it up for you, Cole, like on the development agreement saying like maybe Plan B has certain parameters or guardrails on it or percentages or something like that that would make you feel that it would revert to some true front commercial retail uses? I mean, we do have it called out for right now. Do we give it more specifics on there for you to feel comfortable with it?
I thought about this before coming here, if there were like specific asks, if you will, so that it could be concrete. And I don't have like a specific ask. My bigger challenge is there's other things at play that until they go through kind of changes the pieces on the chessboard a little bit for me. And so questions about viability of having another tenant come in change in my mind a little bit if other things come through. And so that's why it's just the timing for me is a little hard. And there's nothing in the development agreement. We're not going to say, you know, add more time. So that's where I think a lot of my struggle is. I mean, the overall essence of this location and then the timing of some other things going through. So I don't think there's anything to change. You've done already a lot of things. And the truth be told, if, you know, the council would have been fully here and everyone voted, I would cheerlead you and I maybe convince my kids to join basketball. You know what I mean? Like, because I would want you to be successful too. And so I have this part of my heart that's like, I want you to be successful, but
Listen,
I also,
I don't hold any, like, it's, you got your feelings and it is what it is.
yeah,
you know,
just
so-
there's some other pieces. So, but I think you've done a lot, bending over backwards for us. So
I think some of the other pieces that you're talking to and in the works would all be very welcomed
Yeah.
here in the community. So, yeah.
So one of the things that I've liked about this, because we've seen all these proposals for a long time.
You're getting
I-
sick of seeing Mike. You guys want him out of here. But
I mean, I like that the building fits no matter if the zone was made or, zone change was made or not.
Yeah.
So I like that component, that it's what we wanted and it gets that as well. I like that buffer zone that we're providing that makes it tough for other businesses to want that. I like the no residential and already, and it's the regional draw. Again, a restaurant is a small draw in the circumference of around it. This brings people from all over that then fills those. So
Sure. Listen, I
So- so
respect
I'm there.
everyone's thoughts and feelings on it. So if we
Probably end
gotta,
up with at least two
Jason, does
hotels
it-
in this location.
coming back in
our
August, is
side.
that a timeline you can
I
work
mean,
with?
we're up against it for sure. Like, just the only timeline that's important for us is we'd like to get the project completed by about this time next year. I mean, that's kind of what we'd like to do. You want to get stuff done before school starts, as we flow into
The next season?
for the seasons. So that's really if there's a wrench in the plan, that's what it is.
Okay.
So,
I think from what I'm hearing from the council, they feel fairly confident if we had our full council in
Yeah.
attendance. I think we can get it across the finish line.
Jake, are you there? I'm
and Cole, I
commending you.
respect, just listen, Matt.
Yeah.
Nothing, nothing personal at all. Like, I get your feelings on it and I respect that. And if that's what we need to do to get everyone else, more people in here, we'll just figure it out. you know.
Okay.
Would we
wanna-
need to do a special meeting?
That's up to you guys. Whatever you decide.
Yeah, we just don't want to, we know that time is of the essence when you have
Yeah.
these construction
If you guys
timelines
can
and
figure that
business
out,
model.
and if you guys, if there is a quicker timeline you can figure out, then let me know. We can
Next,
go
the
from there.
third week of August is.
Do we have to
Bit
do
of ways.
another public meeting? Because we've had no public here.
No, we don't have to do another public meeting, we've satisfied the statute already.
Thank you. So this could be actually a,
I mean, it has to be a public meeting, not a public hearing.
Public are invited.
We need to have a
yeah.
public hearing to open it up for all three of these things.
Yes, we do.
And
we
we've
do
only
need to
done
do
that for one right now.
Right, we do need to go through that process, open the public hearing, close it. That's a good point, Dan.
can we do all that
Send
tonight?
out new notices.
Yes,
Right.
So it's just this meeting continue to.
I think we could talk about that if we need to.
Okay.
Because I understand, time is money in these big multi-million-dollar development type things. And so if we need to pull together a special meeting, I think we could try to
Okay. Cool.
look at that with staff and with you and your,
Fan, I was reverting to a couple of years back. Under the new statute, the public hearing at the planning commission satisfies the public hearing.
Oh, so we won't have to open
So we
all
don't
three
have
of
to
these.
open and close each one of these. Sorry, I reverted back to the old statute.
That's why you're here.
All
to
right.
know the- Well,
so,
if that's where we're at, then I move to continue.
Okay, so we,
So
We do
we,
Right.
we do because on the agenda, we have it as a public hearing.
so because we
We'll
know,
do it all three.
yeah,
And I think we can roll on that very, very quickly. So I move to continue ordinance 2024-09-0.
all right, we have a motion to continue by Councilmember Broderick. Do we have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Hooley. All in favor to continue?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous.
I make a motion to open a public hearing for item number 11.
Second.
We have so moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We will now accept comment or questions from the public regarding the zone change amendment on item number 11.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 12.
I
Oh,
make-
sorry, to motion,
no,
excuse me. Now we need the motion
I
to
move
continue.
to continue ordinance 2024-10-0.
I second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
I make a motion to open a public hearing regarding ordinance 2024-20-R. I guess resolution, sorry.
Second.
Okay, so moved. All in favor to open the public hearing?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that was unanimous. Any comment or question from the public would be welcomed at this time.
Seeing none, I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so moved. All in favor to close?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I make a
and-
motion to continue resolution 2024-20-R.
All right. We have a second? Okay, motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hooley. All in favor to continue?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. I think that is
Okay.
good news. So we're still in,
Oh, I know,
we're
it's like
still in
so,
motion.
so bureaucratic to
My
go.
new goal is to get Cole's, all his kids playing basketball.
Yes, yes, yes.
Getting a free pass, hey, I gotta pay full price, and it's contractually obligated.
That's gonna be off grid though, bro. No one will know about a free pass thing going on.
That's awesome.
But I am able to meet earlier too, so if there's a special meeting,
That's cool.
I'm happy to come earlier too. So if
Let's-
it's
Yeah, so
on,
if there's
Stay
some
in touch with
discussion to
staff.
figure out,
Steve's gone all of next week, and then the following week you're into Lindon days, so we'll have to.
it'd be the 12th, right? It would be,
Our next meeting's
Well-
the 19th of August, sorry.
19th. I think we could figure something out,
You could
though.
talk
For,
to
for
Lynn,
one
can't
item like this, it could be fairly quick. So
Yeah.
let's just stay in,
so I
connected
would be
with
willing
staff
to
on
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. All right, we are now on to item number 13 on the agenda.
Another public hearing, I'll motion to open the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, you were trying to do it, Cole.
No, you've got it. You've got it.
Cole,
It's good.
Cole hasn't had as much motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Hooley to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you for presenting.
So these next two items, I'm going to combine again the presentation. I think these following ones will be pretty quick. So back at May 6th, the city council, we brought a proposal to you to rezone the back portions of these properties from residential R120 to mixed commercial. We were following the general plan. That's what the general plan, future land use map showed. But when we got down to now getting ready to do the subdivision, we realized, similar to the previous application, the mixed commercial zone requires 100 feet of frontage along a public street. And where the property that's looking at purchasing this is Builder's Source. They're the truss manufacturing here to the west, and their property is zoned light industrial. And so that by doing the mixed commercial zone, that would have divided their property into two different zones. And things would have got a little complicated with that. So the proposal to bring back to you is to rezone the property to light industrial and to amend the general plan to light industrial. You'll have a little island here, so you can see where the star is. You've got mixed commercial here with the general plan. You'll have a little island of light industrial there. But it's, we're not expanding that with any proposals. What the Builder Source will do is they will look at paving that area. They'll move their 7-foot masonry wall that they put up when the new building was installed, their new truss plant, and they'll put that on the property line with the two residential properties that are requesting the zone change. So this is initiated by the residents there at 88 South and 96. They're also here if you have any questions for them, but we've prepared two different items for you for the general plan and the zone map amendment.
All right, council. Any questions, additional questions for staff?
I don't think so. Kind of a unique situation
Yeah.
where that frontage screwed us up there. No, I've reviewed this in pretty good detail. I'm pretty comfortable with it.
We've had other applications come before over the years, and so we've seen this property and this alignment and some of the things going on here. Would the applicants or the landowners who this pertains to, would you be interested in coming forward and making any comments? We'd welcome you to come now. And for the record, if you could please state your name in the microphone there, should be turned on for you.
Diane Campbell, owner of 96 South, 800 West.
And Brandon Hill, owner of 88 South, 800 West.
Okay. Anything you'd like to share about this and any that might help the council with kind of understanding what's going on and insight?
I really did like the way that the building commission last time stated, they noticed that SNL, which is the property to the north of me, well, to the north of both of us, the 3 properties there, they've already acquired those and had them for many years. And so, anyway, they just kind of, that was the one question that they had is, oh, well, it looks like they've already done it, but they haven't consolidated. And I don't actually know, Mike, if they will consolidate it. I'm assuming they will, right? When they do the.
So they've talked, let me pull this up on an aerial so you can see this better. Let's see, right here. Yeah, so SNL, they own, all of these properties right here and then out to Center Street. They right before COVID, they came to city staff and wanted to do a big office warehouse project and redevelop that site. And but they would be required to consolidate those when they develop.
Okay. Okay. All I was gonna say is the other question that I had that I really liked last time was, if they were good neighbors, and they really are. We really like how, if you notice, they pretty much are, well, they're so organized as far as keeping their trusses like perfect. I mean, and that's actually what they're gonna be doing, is the real plan, because we've asked them and kind of grilled them, like, are you gonna put a building there, or what are you gonna do? And I know that they could put a building there in the future, but he was pretty adamant about, like, no, we're actually just gonna increase our yard. And so they'll put asphalt down and just increase their ability to move product, which they do move a lot of trusses. So.
Yeah, I think, but for the fact that your properties had this super long, linear, deep, existing ownership, I think this would have become commercial in the past, kind
Eventually.
of organically. So, yeah.
How would you feel if they did put a building back there and had to do that?
So Blake, who's not here, her son, he's just like, that would be even better, because
Sure.
then it kind of, it's a beautiful building is the way we look at it, right?
Sure.
So, and actually, I would prefer if SNL decided to come, like, when I heard that they potentially were gonna put buildings there, I would prefer them to have buildings, in that position too. I'm not.
Sure.
I'm not saying they need to do it, I'm just saying I would prefer.
If it happened, you'd be
buildings
okay
there.
with it, yeah.
Okay.
Happy with that.
So you're okay with the view having something else someday? That's good to know. People get very testy about their view sometimes.
Yes.
We like the view to the east.
Yeah, yeah, that one's a better for sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming, appreciate you waiting as long as you've had to tonight. I think we're all pretty in agreement, and I think we're ready to move forward. If it's okay with you, Mayor, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to close the public hearing by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, you too.
All right, are we ready for a motion on this, on action?
I'll move to approve ordinance 2024-12-0 to amend the Lindon City General Plan future land use map from low-density residential to light industrial for the rear portions of the properties located at 88 and 96 South, 800 West, as identified in the attached adopting ordinance, with the following conditions: that 1, general plan future land use map amendment approval is conditioned upon subdivision approval and recording the subdivision plat within 1 year from city council approval, and all items of the staff report. That was a long
Very
one.
good, very good.
Jeez.
Was staff recommending that we pass both 13 and 14 together as well, or are we going to do them one at a time?
I think we do it one at a
Okay,
time.
we'll just do one at a time. Very good. We
I
have it.
second the motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. And now moving on to the zone change reconsideration.
Another
make a-
public hearing.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor to open a public hearing?
Aye.
Okay, we're back in a public hearing. Thank you.
I'll motion to close it unless any of you good folks have a comment.
All right, any further comment from staff? Any further discussion from council? All right, I'd entertain a motion then.
So motioned.
Second.
Okay. This is like Stockton to Malone.
Higher today.
All right. All right, motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
All right. You ready for the real motion?
all right.
Okay, I move to approve the reconsideration of ordinance 2024-07-0 to amend the Lindon City zoning map from single-family residential R120 to light industrial for the rear portions of the properties located at 88 and 96 South, 800 West, as identified in the attached adopting ordinance, with the following conditions: that zone map amendment approval is conditioned upon subdivision approval and recording the subdivision plat within 1 year from city council approval.
Did we need to do a public hearing on this, though?
That's what we did before
Okay,
that.
okay, sorry.
And all items of the staff report.
Yes.
We got ahead
okay.
of you there.
Second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second from Stockton to Malone again. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, let's keep moving forward.
All right, thank you, council. I'm not going to take too much of your time today. I'm just going to be presenting on
Thank you, Campbell's and Hills.
zoning map amendment for this property on the corner of Center Street and Geneva Road to change the zoning from heavy industrial to light industrial. And the main reason why we are looking at this today is the applicant, on behalf of IMS Masonry, is looking to expand and build a two-story office building over here to make more space in their main industrial facility along the I-15 area, I believe. And so this would be housing most of their office uses and administrative purposes for IMS Masonry. Currently, these two parcels of land are non-conforming as according to the requirements for heavy industrial, which requires that the minimum lot size be 3 acres per lot, and in amending this and changing this to light industrial, it would be making that minimum lot size be 1 acre per lot. And so after being approved for zoning map amendment, the applicant is looking to consolidate these two parcels into one parcel, or one property, which would be 1.85 acres, making it a conforming lot there. And so I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have about this this motion.
If I could just interrupt, and I'd say make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
All right, that's all right. We can still open it after
Sure.
staff presents as well. That's fine. Was there anything else to add?
Yes, so this is what the applicant is looking to build in conjunction with this site, or with this zone map amendment. The site that they're looking to build is the building here on the eastmost part of the property. And this is what the building will look like. When it was proposed to the Planning Commission, they unanimously recommended approval for this, and particularly really enjoyed that the applicant put a lot of effort into making the building look fairly attractive for a light industrial area, and overall would be a great addition to this area. They particularly liked that it was going in this corner, which was much needed for making it look a little bit more appealing in this general area.
Wonderful. All right, so that's all the information regarding this agenda item. I'd entertain opening a public hearing for the public to
I
weigh in.
re-motion that.
Thank you. Malone to Stockton this time. All right, so we'll have a motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt to open a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. And I'd like to welcome you here, and please state your name.
Thank you. My name's Jonathan Flores. I'm the designer behind this building. Just here to represent, so.
Wonderful,
Nice.
thank you. Well, you already got some good compliments on the design,
Awesome.
so.
Is IMS Masonry related to MS Properties, who has a lot of holdings throughout there? That MS is a different MS. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. How long's IMS Masonry been in town?
Long time.
Long time. Awesome.
Do you know, is there a chance of this intersection ever having a traffic signal? Very likely. And I would just,
On Center Street, you might recall, we were gonna surplus that old sewer lift station, and then we found out from UDOT that this location could be approved for a future signal. And so we decided to retain that little piece of land and just lease it.
can we go back to the site plan? I guess I would want to make sure that we kind of make sure if a signal comes in, that the design would make that conducive and. Yeah, if it has to be moved just a little or whatever, if they do a right turn lane.
Yeah, that's one of the things they still have to do is get a UDOT approval for the proximity to that rail line.
But that is a good point to make sure that in the conversation with UDOT, that's on the radar as well. It may not be, a signal may not be on, up their priority list as of yet to be on the radar, but definitely to mention it, so good point. All right, any other further questions? Any other further comment you'd love to share about this, or?
No, I think I think it'd be an awesome building to have, especially in the area where it's seemingly a little just lackluster in design. So I'm pretty proud of this one.
Yeah, I like this in this place.
Right.
With the space that's available and where it's at. I really like what's here.
All right, well, thank you. All right, any other public comment or questions are welcomed at this time? Okay.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Hooley. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Council, it's back to you then. Any further discussion or questions on the ordinance change before you?
I'll run with it. I move to approve ordinance 2024-13-0 to amend the Lindon City zoning map from heavy industrial to light industrial for parcels 14-065-0048 and 14-065-0049 as indicated in the adopting ordinance with the following conditions. The Lindon City zone map amendment is conditioned upon the applicant consolidating the two parcels into one prior to final site plan approval and on all items of the staff report.
Okay, very good. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, seconded, motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. We'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For being here. Okay, we're on to item number 16. This is the zone change, the Olson zone change on 1075 West Center. So let's go ahead and open the public hearing here at the get-go.
I make a motion to open a public hearing.
Okay, so moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go ahead and have this presented then by staff to get us acquainted with.
Is this our third time on this?
On the Olson.
No, maybe not this one.
No. So,
This property directly west of the property you just talked about.
yeah, it was interesting how we got two applications in right next door.
Yeah.
So for this application, similar request to rezone the property to light industrial. The general plan has this identified as light industrial as well. Mr. Olson can speak of some estate planning purposes for this. And so the heavy industrial zone requires a minimum of 3 acres, and he wants to subdivide this parcel identified in blue to smaller lots. And so the planning commission conditioned the subdivision last week upon the city council granting the zone change for this. So the kind of a brief summary of this overall zone change request.
Any particular collaboration between the applicants, or is this just serendipitous that the timing is, okay.
Mr. Olson, why don't you come up to the,
We'd love to invite you up, Mr. Olson, to the hot seat.
Been there before.
No, everybody's here is nice, so it's a good place. All right, we'll go ahead. Anything else for Mr. Florence here? All right. Anything you would like to add, Mr. Olson, about your application?
My estate planner says that my income properties have to be divided up for liability purposes and so on. I've got 2 other properties in Lindon, but they're in the light industrial, so it's not a problem. This area right here is a little over 2.5 acres, roughly. Right now, on that far east side, adjoining these guys, I have my storage for my personal stuff, and it's all, I think it's on about a half acre. And then I also have the other building down on 12th West, which I used for my crane business when I was in the crane rental business, but I've sold that out, so I've since rented that. And it's sitting on roughly an acre. In between the two buildings is 1 acre of bare ground. And I need to incorporate that in part of it in one, part of it in another, or what is the minimum acreage on a half-acre development, or a acreage development in light industrial, do you know?
1 acre.
1 acre? So I would probably divide it, so 1 acre goes to the one building, 1 acre go to the other building. But I have no plans to develop it. If anything happens, it'll probably be my kids, or they'll probably sell it off later on, I don't know. But anyway, we used to own all that property there before Center Street went through, and it got divided off when Center Street went in, and of course, you guys zonings, change over the years. But that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, very good. Since I started serving on the Planning Commission in 2011, we've done a couple general plan reviews over the years. And I know that, sometimes there's a lot of discussion of, can the heavy industrial, maybe it's favorable for the heavy industrial to eventually up zone, I guess you could call it. Maybe some of the heavy industrial users would take umbrage with that statement, but
At one time,
Yeah.
from Geneva Road clear to the lake was all heavy industrial.
right.
And then they came in somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s, and says, well, we're gonna do this for heavy and this for heavy, and then all this. And I kept saying, well, can you develop light industrial in a heavy zone? They said, yeah. And I said, well, why do you want to change it? But that was prior to the minimum acreage. I don't know where that came into. I never did hear where that came into effect. But anyway, this falls into the problem where it was already pre-subdivided before this acreage thing popped up. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
All right. But it also will change the potential heavy uses that could go there now to the light industrial allowed uses, so.
I can't imagine anybody with
Takes
heavy
away some of
industrial use
the
would want an
noise,
acre
smell, yeah,
ground.
yeah.
So,
Okay, any further questions or comments from council to Mr. Olson or our staff?
So thanks for being with us so long. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion to close the public hearing, moved by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, back to you, council.
I'll move to approve ordinance 2024-14-0 to amend the Lindon City zoning map from heavy industrial to light industrial for the property located at 1093 West Center with the following conditions. The zone map amendment approval is conditioned upon the applicant recording the subdivision plat within 1 year from the subdivision approval and all items of the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's all done.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate
Thank you
your
very
time.
much. All right, we're now moving on to item number 17 on the agenda. This is a review and action of the reappointment of Board of Adjustment members.
No public hearing, so great.
Okay.
Oh, another one's coming.
Take it away.
So, council members, our Board of Adjustment, they operate on a 5-year term, and it's been a little while since they've been reappointed, and so we need to reappoint them, and they'll all be starting on a new 5-year term at this point. We've reached out to all 5 members of the Board of Adjustment, and they would all like to serve again. Some have been on there for quite a long time, but they have a very good wealth of knowledge and
Great guys.
yeah. So I only heard from one, Mr. Glenn Mitchell. I'm not sure he wants to go a full 5 years. He may
He's,
be a short timer.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're all excited to continue serving.
Hear that.
I just had when it says term number, so those would be, so like Jeff is served for 40, will have served for 40 years, 8 times 5, am I reading that right?
Yes.
Wow.
well, it was in the 90s. I don't know,
I don't know if all the terms have been 5 years. She's been there a
No,
long
they were
time.
shorter
Oh,
before.
okay.
I think they were
Maybe they haven't been
2-year
5
ones.
years,
I
but
think
it
they were
was-
two-year cycle before, weren't they? Adam
I
would
don't know.
know. They were shorter.
Yeah.
They used to be much shorter.
been on there since before I worked for the city, so he's at least 20, so.
Because because I remember, I saw some documents that, I think Adam, when you started, there was something said he was on his 4th term at that time or something, so.
So we had discussed with Brian at some point potentially not having a board of adjustment and going to like a council mediator. What are your there we go. What is the thoughts with that now?
We're close to that, but we have got an appeal coming up where we have received the notice of appeal for Mr. Green that we need to proceed through to the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is the appellate body that is currently in place, and now that we've got an appeal filed, we need to see that one through to the end, and then we'll sit down with Mike and work on getting a Board of Adjustment replacement.
So is there a particular reason we're calling out 5-year if we're thinking we're not going to use a board of adjustment?
We could dissolve this.
Okay.
Yeah, changing it, no, we're not stuck with it for 5 years.
Right.
We can do away with it. We just grab the standard, just do a quick reappointment.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with all of them. I'll move to approve the reappointment of the existing Board of Adjustment members for an additional 5-year term.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we're on to item number 18. This is a public hearing for an update
I
to our
make a
impact fee
motion to
ordinance.
open a public hearing.
Okay.
Sorry, Jake.
Don't apologize to me. I'll second it.
Motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, welcome here, our council. Mr. Hawes will go ahead and present.
So when you look at this ordinance, you just see this giant sea of red. But the reason for that is after we passed our last amendment to the, of our impact fees, Adam and I started looking at it, and it was quite outdated. Our old ordinance was last updated in 2004, I think. There have been a number of changes, and so basically, what we're trying to do is consolidate and make our ordinance, our code section more concise. So we're taking portions, as you look at the old code, there was a chapter for each of the different types of impact fees. We're just consolidating those all into one place because the rules are the same for almost all of the impact fees, different types of impact fees. So nothing is changing as far as what fees are being imposed, where they're going. We're just taking everything that has been in existence, consolidating it. There are a couple of small changes the state legislature has made. If someone's entitled to a refund, they lay out the specific process on how to do that. So there are some, and they now refer to, we used to refer to all of our plans and studies as a capital facilities plan. It's now an impact facilities plan. It's just some technical stuff like that. So really not much of a change. We, and you can tell that because we notified the Home Builders Association and no one's here. So, but we did provide her with the ordinance and so. Anyway, I don't think there's a whole lot to discuss unless there's some specific questions.
Appreciate you buttoning up, that all of our code and ordinance language is consistent, clarified, compliant.
And concise and easy for
concise.
people.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
4 C's. Look
Yeah.
at us. Okay.
I'm glad you do it.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right, I don't see anyone in the room. No public comment. Okay, we've done our due diligence. I'll accept the motion by Councilmember Broderick. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it was seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, council, any further questions or discussion of staff?
A lot of red.
Make sure you didn't sneak anything in there, huh?
I will make a motion. I move to approve ordinance 2024-11-0, updating LCC Title 11 as presented.
All right.
Is that how you spell title?
I don't know.
Oh, there is a
I think
typo.
that's, yeah, I think you got
With
switched.
a correction.
I'll second the motion.
All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Broderick, seconded by Councilmember Hoyt. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good.
Hey,
Right. I guess we keep you around a little longer.
a little bit, one more
Okay.
item.
All right.
Motion to go into a closed session.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute recess,
Yeah.
and then let's then motion a closed session. Very good.
Thanks for your comment on the signal. That was a good catch.
How come we're not putting that in the notes right now?
MVP award. What was that?
You're stocking up on that, that seems
Yeah,
to be,
that's the good protein right there. That is, I mean, did you see that? 17 grams.
I don't think I ever get protein.
Protein's really good. It makes it seem like that's hungry.
I learned that from my grandmother years and years ago.
What
There's one time I said, I'm hungry. Have some eggs for breakfast.
Like eat something that's not crap.
Yes.
It's a whole world.
I don't know, it could be. Maybe he's 65 and he's like cold, he looks young, you know?
Go ahead, yes.
We're just on a break. We're just on a 5-minute break.
Was that back from, oh, that's back in 2010.
Yeah, 2010, he was on his 4th term.
It's okay. Go get what you need.
Yes, sir, great.
Yeah, they're all good
If I
guys.
remember, Jeff.
Do you want me to add this translator or anything? I mean, I do this literally all day.
The guy that, I don't know if you ever finished, dropped out of college.
Will you just tell me? Yeah.
Doesn't sound bad, but he was recruited by a company that I think he still works for. To come get him.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever heard Elder Rathband. Was given an address at BYU. It was the same thing with him. He dropped out of college because, oh, the chemical guy. His dad, or his son was governor. Huntsman. Huntsman came and got him. And he's telling this story to all these, no, I'm not suggesting any of you do that.
Yeah.
But for them, it was like, like they're discussing, this is what we came to school for.
Way to go, Cole. Way to go.
That's what we want, but I just love,
Now I'm learning it. I'm sorry.
I don't know if he had planned
You know,
that,
it's one of those things where
but then he knew, he's gotta clarify here. Mom, Elder Rathband said I should drop out.
Yeah, right? You're like, because this is my life.
This is my son's on like sports year.
Something like that.
So I'm like,
Duolingo,
and then I'm
everyone's
like,
doing
we're going to Mexico. Oh. Next we'll go to Mexico.
Well, force it.
We're gonna immerse ourselves in it.
We will only be able to do.
You're all annoyed with me because I put on like those listening to Spanish music like in the car. Like, I'm immersing
I know.
myself. And they're like, oh my gosh.
This will do it.
Like, this is it. So I need to find their soap operas. Really get into
Oh, the
it.
telenovelas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, man. Would you like some? There are 4 of them in here.
Oh, no, thank you. I was just, I had to look to see, this is what you guys are talking about.
Oh. We were talking about Spanish.
¿Sí habla español?
Sí. Serví en Texas.
I do not. Sí.
I know.
There's times at church, que pasta muchacho.
No.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah, yeah.
Already over there.
any young single adult or
Yeah,
which I'm
definitely.
somebody's-
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know that's not real Spanish? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's levels of irony here.
Yes, and he was missing all of that.
All right. Council will resume here our regular session, and I'd entertain a motion to go into a closed session to discuss our pending or possible litigation.
So motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hoyt, seconded by Councilmember Broderick. All in favor to go into a closed session?
Aye.
Let's do this as a roll
Yeah.
call. State your name.
Van Broderick, aye.
Thank you.
Cole Hooley, aye.
Jake Holt.
Aye.
Jake Hoyt, aye.
Okay.
Let me turn off the recording here really quick, okay? Before you start on that.
You can do that remotely from there now?
No, not that. So it's live on YouTube, so I'm turning off the YouTube recording.